Welcome to TWitWoW, the best wrestling podcast made for wrestling fans by wrestling fans on the web today. I'm John. That's my cohort and commentary, Ashton. And this is the week in review. And we're about to eat this week because I'll tell you. NXT was the worst show for me this week. I was very mad on NXT this week. SmackDown was better. I definitely think what you could say about SmackDown is the women were the best part of the show. Between Michin and Chelsea in their street fight for the Women's United States Championship and Bianca and Naomi segment. I'm loving what all the women in WWE are doing right now, which brings me to Raw, because while the women's Intercontinental Championship match between Lyra Valkyria and Ivy Nile was decent, the real feast this fucking week was Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's World Championship, and just Rhea as a character in the aftermath of that match. And not just the women when it comes to Raw. That Raw, mostly top to bottom, was one of the best Raws I've seen in years. Um, so what I would like to do this week, and before we get into that, I do want to get my partner's preliminary remarks, but just to give an idea of what I would like to do this week, because I feel so positive about Raw, I'd like to talk about Raw last and kind of go old school Twitwell on this and talk about NXT first, because I think we both agree that was the weakest show this week. Then SmackDown, then we talk about Raw last, and just really pick the fucking spirits up, because this was an amazing 3 hours of television. But before we do any of that, partner, how'd you feel about this week in the world of wrestling? Let's get your thoughts here real quick.
It's been a really interesting week for me on a personal level because I think I watched more wrestling that wasn't Joshi this week than I have in at least probably like 2 or 3 years, honestly.
Yeah.
Because I watched all of Raw, all of NXT, all of SmackDown, plus I watched Evolve on Wednesday and the second half of Dynamite, and I watched Collision tonight.
Yes.
So
Yes.
I really went all in on watching wrestling this week.
So we already
And
know when it comes, yeah, to the extracurriculars, you'll have a bit to talk about for sure.
yeah. So yeah,
And
I watched a lot of wrestling this week, and here's the thing. As you know, you and I are really more just kind of anti wrestling corporation than anything. Like we like to call the WWE out when they do fucked up things. We like to call Tony Khan out for his bullshit. Like we try our best not to be biased, but from an on TV product standpoint, we definitely big time prefer the WWE product to the AEW product by a lot.
I don't even touch the AEW product, so that's just true by default for
Right.
me. Yeah.
Personally, for me, I think I enjoyed Collision more than either of NXT or SmackDown this week.
Interesting. Okay.
So it might have been tied with SmackDown, closer to SmackDown, but definitely more than NXT. NXT this week was ass. I did not like NXT this week at all.
I didn't care for NXT either. No.
Raw was the crown jewel this week for me. It was, I mean, you and I agree, Raw was fantastic this week. But here's the thing: if I had to rank the shows that I watched this week, I would say Raw 1, Evolve 2, Collision slides in just barely above SmackDown at 3. I don't think I want to rank Dynamite because I didn't really watch it. I only watched like part of the second half of it. So I won't even rank that. And then yeah, SmackDown 4 and then NXT under a pile of dirt at 5.
Yeah. I mean, I'm excited when we get to our extracurricular for you to talk about Evolve more than anything, because again, I've never been dishonest and I've never held back how just little of a shit I give about all things AEW.
Yeah.
But I know Evolve's kind of the new hot thing under the WWE umbrella, so gonna be excited to hear more about that. And I'll have to check in sooner or later myself and kind of catch up with it. So let's start with NXT just to rip that band-aid off. Um, this was a fun match to start because we had Zarya and Sol Ruka versus Chelsea Green and Piper Niven. And the Sol Ruka Zarya team is starting to grow on me, but I'll be damned, man, if this match once again didn't affirm for me how badly I want Sol Ruka as a single star, like vying for the NXT Women's Championship, like in that upper mid card to main event echelon on the NXT brand. Because I think she's got a great look. She's very endearing. And I mean, the finisher, the Soul Snatcher, like,
Yeah.
it's fantastic. And I love that she's really refined it to really hit it from anywhere. Um, Closing moments of this match were great. Zarya gets an F5 on Piper, but throws Piper onto Chelsea, further crushing Chelsea. Chelsea at one point has a leaky faucet. Her nose gets busted from something at some point during this match. And then Soul hits the Soul Snatcher, kind of like Lion Salt style, off the middle rope. And she pins freaking Chelsea Green,
Yeah.
which that popped me because I would love if Soul would just be on a random SmackDown or something challenging Chelsea
Yeah.
for the Women's United States Championship. I don't expect that to happen,
I think it
but I
should.
def
I mean, you say you don't expect it, but like, I don't think they would have an NXT talent pin a main roster champion if they didn't plan on doing something with it at least.
yeah, I mean, I only say that too because Chelsea did get some interesting developments this week on SmackDown. And one of them was Zelina Vega, that is, for the uninitiated, that whoever won between her match, between her and Michin in the street fight for the title, she was going to come after them next. So I don't really know if Solruka is kind of a thought in that way, but I don't know. The team is slowly growing on me, and this is a big win
Yeah.
for them. I mean, did you have any
See, and
thoughts
this
about
is
this
kind of
one?
the thing too, is like as much as I didn't like NXT this week, it's not all bad. That's the crazy thing about NXT is that with NXT, there's almost always at least some really good shit on NXT, and it's almost always the women that give you the good shit. And this was it. Like the Solruka Chelsea Green stuff, you know, with Soul and Zarya against Chelsea and Piper. This was great. This match was fantastic. Soul beating Chelsea was really exciting. It got me really hopeful for a match between them in the future for the US title. I loved this. But like when you're watching a show and even like 40% of it puts you in a bad fucking mood, it's like that bad, like you dislike it that much, you're gonna come away with that thinking it was a shitty show, even if the other 60% of it is great.
Exactly. I mean, bro, you and I read rumors recently about an Evolution 2 potentially.
Yeah.
I'm telling you, where women's wrestling in WWE is right now, if they do an Evolution 2 right now, it's going to blow the very first Evolution out of the fucking water. Because the matches you can do, the roster that you have,
You
again,
know,
across all three brands is just
I
insane to me.
I hate to be that guy, but I think the Evolution 2 that we could book in our heads would blow Evolution 1 out of the water, but knowing the way that the WWE works and the way that they think and what they think draws and what they think they need to do in order to put on an all women's pay-per-view, they would do all the same shit that they did for the first one. They would bring back the stars of old. They would probably have Mickey James on there. They would probably bring back Nikki Bella. Like they would sully the show similarly to how they sullied the first show, in my opinion. I think
Yeah.
if you were to book a show where the main event was like really like big deal, like Bianca Belair versus maybe even like Io or Rhea, like a one-on-one match. Like, because we're probably getting a triple threat at Mania. Maybe we get the singles match between Bianca and Rhea at Evolution 2. That's like a pay-per-view main event worthy match to me, but I don't think that WWE would agree with me on that. I think that they would be like, okay, well, we're doing an all women's pay-per-view match, so obviously the main event has to be Charlotte Flair versus Nikki Bella. And we'd be like, ew, gross, that's awful. Nobody wants to see that. But like in their minds, that's the kind of shit that draws. And that's the kind of pay-per-view quality main event style match that they would want to put on for an Evolution 2. So like, yeah, we could fantasy book in our minds a card that would include NXT women that would be absolutely blow the Evolution 1 card out of the fucking water by miles. But then in reality, I don't think it'll live up to that hype. And I don't want to hype ourselves up for something that's not going to be real.
Yeah, I'm just gonna leave it at saying that I do agree with you. But I'll also say for my own 2 cents that the day, if we can even speak of such a day, because they seem very tepid about committing to the concept of Evolution as a pay-per-view.
Yeah.
But when they would, and that pay-per-view would solely belong to the women of today, it would be one of my most anticipated pay-per-views of the year.
Oh,
Because
yeah.
like this division just is cooking on another level that's absolutely insane to me. I'm so proud of the women this week, including in this tag match. You know, it was fun. And then we get Kalani versus Jada. Pretty physical matchup. I really didn't have too strong feelings about it. Jada
Honestly,
won.
yeah,
Yeah,
this was kind of an underwhelming match. I thought these two would really cook, but it ended up only just being solid and not really like overwhelming or like noteworthy to me.
Yeah, I mean, Jada wins after Hypnotic. The interesting thing to me comes after the match when Jada says, Stephanie, Julia, I'm going to be watching y'all's match, and whichever one of you wins, I got next, more or less.
Yeah.
So, you know, Jada wants to get back in the title picture. I would be fine seeing it. I thought she did amazing in the build up against Roxanne for No Mercy last year. So I'd like to see her, especially given that they seem to be doubling down with Jada as a heel, which is weird because the crowd's very clearly behind her. Whatever my disappointments in Jada recently that I hope she grows out of, as a character, she's still hella fucking over with people. And yeah, I don't really know what they're thinking with her, but yeah, her versus Julia or Stephanie, seemingly Stephanie, because we know Julia's dealing with some kind of injury, should be interesting. I'm skipping this next segment because, like we say, we don't want to do a line by line recap. It
Can
was
you just tell
Hardy's
me
and
what it is that you're skipping so that I don't bring it up?
yeah, Hardy's Fraxium. Just fuck that
Oh,
whole
yeah,
thing. I
please,
I
thank
hate
you.
that.
Yeah.
So yeah,
We already kind of addressed it last week too about how much I hate that like the Hardys basically have to win here because it's their titles that are on the line and Fraxium aren't going to win the TNA tag titles and stuff.
yeah,
And it's going to basically just bury the entire NXT tag division because Fraxium's been unfucking stoppable for the better part of a year now. And the Hardys are just going to come in and beat them, and it's going to make everyone look bad, and I hate it.
yeah. Just real quick, want to touch on this too because there's not much to say. Cora Jade and Jordan Grace were
Oh, yeah.
supposed to have a match, and they were in the
This
midst
was
of
really
one.
weird. So apparently, people thought that Cora fucked up the same knee that was like in a brace, but then on social media afterwards, she basically said like, no, it wasn't her knee. She got shook up, like it was like a brain thing probably,
Yeah,
but that she was fine after the show. So um, yeah, weird that the match got ended for that. But I guess it's better that the wrestling company that has a history of bad concussions leading to early deaths and people doing unsavory things and stuff looks out for their wrestlers' brain health. That's a great thing.
absolutely. Health before everything else. Cora is set to face Masha, so I guess that match is still happening. Of course, like I'm
Yeah.
okay, but yeah, it does. It's a very touch and go thing.
I
So that
honestly do like. Do you know when the pay per view that match is going to be happening on is happening?
no,
Okay, because I didn't know what the pay per view even was. Like it's not Slammiversary, right?
no, I don't believe it is. Slammiversary shouldn't be for a couple more months.
Okay, so I don't know what the show is that Cora is challenging Masha on, but if it's not happening like within the next week or two, it would be really nice if NXT rebooked Cora versus Jordan. Like, let's try again because that match could have been fun.
Definitely, yeah, yeah. Um, all right. Ethan Page and Javon do like an interview thing. It's really just a New York City street fight for Roadblock, build hype for that. I'm not looking forward to Roadblock at all next week. I'm really kind of mentally checked out of that show, to be quite honest.
Oh, yeah, me too, by the way. But according to Javaris, the upcoming TNA show that Cora's challenging Masha for the TNA title on is Sacrifice.
Oh, okay.
I
Okay,
mean,
fair
you know
enough.
what they say, the numbers, they don't lie, and they spell disaster for you as Sacrifice.
Yes, indeed. Yes, indeed.
I also
Real
just realized that, like, it's entirely possible that Cora's concussion or whatever you want to call it might have just been a work as a way for them to not have to make Jordan Grace lose to Cora Jade because, well, really to protect both of them because it makes Jordan look like this overwhelming force that like overwhelmed Cora. It doesn't really make Cora look weak because like, anyone can get, hurt in a match. And I don't know. It might have been a choice. It might have been a booking decision to do that because they don't want to just feed Cora to Jordan knowing that Cora is going to be challenging Masha for the TNA title very soon. So yeah, I don't know. I kind of now that I kind of remembered that, and you reminded me really, so thank you, that Cora is challenging Masha for the TNA for the Knockouts title, I should say, at Sacrifice. Thank you for that, Javaris. Yeah, it might have just been a booking decision to protect both of them as a way to, just not have to have either one of them take a loss.
I mean, I know we hate like worked injury angles or weird things angles. It might have been. I kind of doubt it. But I mean, who knows with this company?
Yeah.
So yeah, Ethan and Javon build up their stuff. Then my recap didn't include this, but at some point in the show, Kale Dixon and Connors try and give
Yeah.
Ava like a gift of like supplies or whatever, and Trick
Mhm.
is just an asshole about the whole thing because he was in the office first, more or less asking Ada, when do I get my hands on Eddie Thorpe again? I want a rematch. So again, we're doing this game with Trick where he has to jump through hoops just to get another shot at somebody. And this doesn't even have a championship involved. This is even more incredulous to me than the first one. I don't even know how that was fucking possible.
I
I'm
am
really sorry.
so here's the thing, like all of this shit could have been avoided if Trick would have just been in the Royal Rumble and they'd been on the main roster and just been on the main roster and been Nakamura's WrestleMania opponent. Like we wouldn't have to deal with fucking LA Knight's second US title reign. We wouldn't have to deal with any of that bullshit. We could have just had an awesome Trick Williams main roster run and he could have beaten Nakamura for the US title at Mania and everything would have been great. But no, now we've got to do all this bullshit of fucking Eddie Thorpe going on fucking high horse rants about Native Americans and how his people were done dirty and like speaking actual truths, but doing it as this awful, gutless heel that we're supposed to hate. And like Trick Williams now all of a sudden, because he got beat by Eddie Thorpe, which never should have happened in the first place, is just full blown being a dickhead to people who don't deserve to be treated that way, like Javon and these two guys. I don't even remember the other guy. I know one of them's Kale Dixon. I don't remember the other one's name. Uh, like all of this could have been avoided if they would have just done what they should have done and just shot Trick up to the main roster, have him debut in the Rumble. I'm still butthurt that neither Trick nor Oba was in the men's Rumble. There wasn't a single NXT talent in the men's Rumble. It's unbelievable to me.
That's unbelievable to me too, man. Especially if you're gonna write Trick like this. And look, I don't want to be a broken record, but I've said it a few times now, both in Discord and on here. This just makes me concerned for Trick on the main roster. I mean,
Yeah, like
again,
we thought HBK was the good one. We thought HBK was the
yeah,
one that like booked his black talents well, and now we're getting this bullshit. It's like, thank you for Oba, I guess, but do better still.
yeah, yeah. So then we get a match with Kale Dixon and Trick Williams, and you can't even really call it a match. Bell rings,
No,
Trick shot knee.
it
He
was
gets the
Matt Riddle,
front mount.
Cassius Ono.
Yeah, definitely, definitely those vibes exactly. Gets the trick shot, front mount, forearms, and ref stoppage. Trick Williams, because he wants Eddie Thorpe, and then they have a little promo exchange, and ultimately it's gonna be NXT Underground in 2 weeks.
I'm
Not
just gonna
looking
say
forward
it,
to
by the way. Super Blue said Trick's not getting drafted. Man, I can feel it. I wouldn't be surprised. I'd be upset, just like I'm upset that Trick wasn't in the Rumble and hasn't debuted on the main roster yet. But like, I'm sorry. I love Trick Williams, and I think that this dude has this magnetic energy about him that, like, even if he is only like a 5 out of 10 in the ring and a 6 out of 10 on the mic, I still think that he can get away with it on the main roster because of how charismatic and magnetic he is. And like I even think like you could stick him in a tag team with R Truth, and those guys could be on every single week worth of whichever brand they're on of television, and it would be one of the highlights of every show they're on. It would be fantastic. Everyone would love it.
Yeah, no, I'm telling you, I think he could very easily assimilate into whatever roster he's a part of,
Yeah,
and just
and like that's to me that's
hit the
his
ground running.
floor. That's his floor. Like that's like the least amount of shit that I can imagine him doing on the main roster, but it would still like he'd be over like gangbusters. Like I just imagine like a world where they are like, oh yeah, we creative has nothing for you, so we're gonna just give you a partner. And of course, it's WWE, so they always like to pair people together of similar racial backgrounds and stuff. The Japanese people with Japanese people, the Latino people with Latino people, and of course black guys with black guys. So yeah, we're gonna shove you in a tag team with our truth. But like they would get over so much, it would be undeniable. They'd probably end up winning tag gold. And even just the thought of our truth being in something by himself and getting beat down, and then Trick's music hits to come out for the save, the crowd would fucking explode. They'd lose their fucking minds for that save. And it would be
Yeah,
like combination. It wouldn't just be because they love Trick. It would be the combination of like, thank Christ someone's coming out to save Truth. We love Truth, and Trick being over as fuck. But I'm just saying though, like that's the bare minimum, and it would work so well that there's no reason not to do it at this point. That's my main
yeah.
point, is like Trick should be a main eventer, But even if you don't want to use him like a main eventer because you don't think he's necessarily good enough in the ring, on the mic, whatever, to be that yet on the main roster, you don't have to make him a main eventer right away. You could let him chill doing like undercard gimmick shit and just get over the way that you did in NXT when he was paired with Carmelo for so long. That's
Yeah.
what I like. We talk about this already. I know we've talked about this plenty of times in the past, but it frustrates me so much when people get called up from NXT to the main roster without getting rebuilt on the main roster, where they go like they get built in NXT from completely unfamiliar to the audience to beloved. And then they go to the main roster, and the people who are booking them just expect them to be reacted to and known by the main roster fans the exact same way that they were by the NXT fans. No, you have to start back over from ground zero. You have to build them back up. If you want them to reach the same level of success that they found in NXT, you have to give them the same type of build that they got in NXT. So pair Trick up with someone and build him the fuck up. Like, you don't have to just bring him up and be like, oh yeah, this is Trick Williams. He's a main eventer now. He's the NXT champion. He was the NXT champion. And like, no, you don't have to do that. You can have him be like an undercard gimmick guy for a while, and then like put a mid card title on him and have him do mid card stuff and work his way up to main event again. It's so annoying, dude. I'm sorry. I'm ranting. I'm done.
Yeah, so they're doing underground, and I hate it. Throughout the night, we're doing press conferences for Roadblock.
Wait, you
Nothing
said
really
they're
much.
doing underground. Is this Trick and Eddie Thorpe are doing NXT
Yeah, in two
underground
weeks, and NXT Underground in 2 weeks.
in
Yeah,
2 weeks? So this isn't even happening at Roadblock.
no,
Oh my god.
yeah. So throughout the night, well, actually, and I should also mention that Jordan Grace does get attacked backstage by Roxanne, so clearly that is going to be a thing. Happy for them though. I mean, I like their first match that they had when Roxanne was champion. It should cook. I'm just waiting for Roxanne to finish business here and fully transition to the main roster. I do expect her to be drafted post Mania, so we'll see how that goes. Um, So yeah, they do press conferences throughout the night. I really don't want to talk about those. It's a waste of fucking time. The only thing worthwhile is again Fatal Influence talking about when are we going to get our rematch, and then that was the whole thing. So clearly they don't want us to forget about them. Too bad for them. I already did. Then the main event, fucking Ty Spears beat Tony D'Angelo to be the NXT North American champion, and I've gone right back to not caring about that title. So cool. Um, Really, all I care about in light of this is what happens to the family now, because the finish, Stacks got pushed into Tony, and Tony landed on a steel chair on the outside. And then, even though he kicked out initially off of Ty Spears' finisher, a few moments later, the back gives out on the one-handed spinebuster attempt by Tony, and Spears is just able to, tie him up in a pin, 3 count. So I'm more interested in the family story. I couldn't give two shits about the North American title with this. And yeah, I mean, I love mob movies. I've said it repeatedly. I am just waiting for Stacks to assume control of the family and for it to be some kind of a heel thing. Or maybe they surprise us, they call up the family together. I don't know. I do think Tony, see, I don't even know how he would do on the main roster. That's the funny thing. Like, I think he'd be a better fit on SmackDown right now. But I mean, I always liked Carmelo more than Tony, and Carmelo still feels like a dweeb on SmackDown. So I don't know. I really
Yeah,
just I don't fucking know.
I think that might be why I didn't connect with Tony at first. Because like when I kind of first am introduced to a new talent that I've never heard of or seen for the first time, I'm always sort of thinking like, okay, what's their ceiling? Like, what can they do that sets them apart? Like, what is their skill set? That kind of thing. And like Tony D kind of has the Saya Ida problem, where like he's a really effective powerhouse. Unfortunately, though, he is an undersized powerhouse, and that is like a really, really big problem, especially when you get to the main roster and you expect me to buy your spine buster being used on a 6'5", 290-pound Randy Orton. Are you fucking kidding me?
Yeah. Yeah. I like the idea of Tony coming up with his family, but if they're gonna do a thing with Stacks and Tony goes up on his own, I like Tony. This isn't me like having it out for Tony, right? I just don't see where he fits, and that's kind of my problem. He feels more SmackDown, but I don't know. But that was NXT. I'm done talking about the show. It was weak as shit this week. Let us go on to
Yeah,
SmackDown.
it's funny because we've been talking a lot about SmackDown already just through NXT, so it's a good, easy transition.
Yeah, we begin with a Randy Orton promo. I felt bad for Randy here, man, because I don't think he cut a bad promo, but
I
this
thought this
crowd.
was a solid promo. I feel like there are a lot of people shitting on it, but I liked it.
Yeah, I mean, as people in the chat on the stream that I was watching SmackDown said, Orton has an intelligent sense of humor. I think they meant that as a joke, but when he said, now he's rock's bottom, and it's like, damn, I thought it was clever because I get what Randy was going at, but it got no pop, just no pop. Um, and
I popped for it, to be fair.
and then see that's good because I think you and I both got it. I don't know if the crowd really got it, but yeah, I think my favorite part of this was when Randy's kind of voice changed and his kind of face changed because he talked about, listen, the voices started talking to me again and I liked it. And I'm like, oh, I recognize that. I'm unhinged too. And, he more or less says, like, I'm going to get my hands on Kevin Owens and then I'm going to hurt him. It's the usual stuff. But, I liked how he framed this because unlike Cody, and we're not really going to talk about Cody. So just to say this real quick, I hated his promo this week. The reason we don't want to talk about it in depth is we both hate Cody Rhodes and not going to waste the breath. But Cody sounded so like deflective, and just whatever when he gave these reasons to Cody or to Owens. But Orton seems so calm and collected. Like, oh, Kevin Owens, he just has a jealousy problem, And then even when he said that slowly but surely, Sami Zayn became a bigger star than Kevin Owens, I'm like, oh, that's gonna hurt Kevin bad. That's gonna hurt Kevin bad
Yeah,
because
I
he
think that's
hates
my
his brother.
problem. Is like Randy himself did a great job with the delivery on the promo, pretty much like always, at least for the last decade or so. I mean, yeah, if you go back 15 years, his delivery wasn't so great. It was very slow and methodical and bored the hell out of most people. But I think his delivery was great. I just, the actual, content of the promo was kind of horseshit because it was more bullshit propaganda that you'd expect Cody or Michael Cole to say about Kevin.
Yeah. They really want Kevin to be like a quintessential bad guy, not get any cheers. But I love his psychology. I love his motivations. Like I'm not turning on this dude. Similarly to how I'm not going to turn on Naomi, but we're going to get to that later. So yeah, I look forward to their matchup at KO Mania. Hope
It's
Orton
so
loses.
funny too because Orton talks about like, oh, Sami Zayn became a bigger star than Kevin Owens, and yet like they literally won the tag titles in the main event of WrestleMania together long before Kevin ever turned on Sami. So like at what point between the two of them winning the tag titles in the main event of WrestleMania and Kevin's turn on Sami did Sami do anything remotely close to being a bigger star than Kevin? I need to know.
The only thing I could think of off the top of my head, just to keep the momentum of this commentary going, would be Sammy ending Gunther's like longest reigning Intercontinental title reign, while Kevin Owens got pinned by Logan Paul at WrestleMania that same
Right.
year.
And yet, Kevin's a former Universal Champion, and Sammy's never held a world title at all.
Yeah, exactly.
So, like, I mean, I definitely agree that that is the closest thing to a real argument that someone would have that's trying to argue in favor of what Randy's saying. But I still feel like that argument falls apart when you look even remotely recently. I think Kevin won that title in what, like 2017, 18 ish?
Yes, that sounds about right.
Yeah. So, like, Kevin, former Universal Champion, which is literally the single most prestigious championship the company's ever had. And Sammy's never held any world title in the company ever. I don't I don't think Sammy. Yeah, he did. He held the NXT title, but it was briefly.
Because then Kevin beat him for that too.
Yeah, well, yeah, and there you go. So like, yeah, I just like that whole argument just falls apart in my mind. And like, yeah, Kevin, I think that all of this sort of attempted armchair psychology that Cody and Randy now have attempted to do on Kevin to try and make him look like this green with envy, jealous bad guy has been really, really pathetic, honestly. Like it's really bad. And I think that people who actually buy into it are maybe a little delulu in their own rights, honestly.
Well, I look forward to Randy losing at KO Mania, and I look forward to Sammy getting back so that he can be powerbombed again. Um, After that, Tiffany beat Piper Niven, so we're just gonna move on from that. And Charlotte didn't attack. I cannot wait to skip that match at
Dude,
Mania. I'm hyped to skip
I
that match
know,
at Mania.
right? It's gonna be awesome, but I just gotta say, um, I didn't recognize Charlotte here. She came out to attack Tiffany, and I was like, "Who the fuck is that?" And my mom recognized her before me, and she was like, "Ashton, that's Charlotte." And I was like, "What?" I genuinely did not recognize her here. It was crazy.
Aldis, who's getting more pierced by the week, in my opinion, but that's not my business, breaks down the whole tag team mess going on in the division. And long story short, next week we're going to be having DIY versus the Street Profits for the WWE Tag Team Championships. Happy for the Street Profits. I think they've been the most fired team in the division. But then on this episode of SmackDown, we're going to do a three-way with the other remaining teams in this mess, that being Pretty Deadly, Motor City Machine Guns, and Los Garza, and the winners would get a tag title shot in the future after DIY versus Street Profits next week. Fun matchup, not much to say. Pretty Deadly actually get the win. I love the little
Dude,
mini push they've been getting.
I was just gonna say, when did Pretty Deadly become babyface? I need to know.
Or do you feel like they were babyface in this? Because I still feel like they're heels. But
Oh, listen, okay, so they've been getting, at the bare minimum, babyface reactions from the crowd lately.
yeah,
Are they, in your mind, still booked like heels?
I mean, maybe a little bit because they did kind of, lie to Street Profits and then like stuff like that. I don't even know really how they've been wrestling. Like I watched Triple Threat, but I don't think I saw much cheaty stuff. So maybe they are internally recognized as babyface. I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of weird
I'm
with Pretty
saying
Deadly right
this
now.
because last week, now this was not a thing that we should talk about for this week in review. It was a last Friday thing, like 8 days ago for us.
Yeah.
They came out to make the save for, I think, Motor City Machine Guns, and they got a huge pop when Street Profits were beating down MCMG. Dude, Pretty Deadly got a huge pop.
Yeah. Huh.
And when they won this match, they got a big pop.
Huh. Good for them. I'm actually genuinely happy for them. Like, yeah, I really, yeah, okay.
I mean, yeah,
Okay.
it's cool for them, but I'm just upset, genuinely upset, that people are treating the Street Profits current character arc like they're full blown heel.
Yeah, I don't care for that either. Because they have been getting dicked around something fierce. And like
I mean,
DIY
don't get me wrong,
attacked
I
them.
don't think that I would call them baby faces by any means. They've clearly, at the bare minimum, got an edge. I think tweener is more accurate. But to to pop for a team that's been booked, not like literally just straight up like heels the entire time, to pop for that team coming out because you don't like the Street Profits, it's giving racism.
I mean, and here's the thing. I like the Street Profits edge better than Trick Williams because they're like angry at the relevant people. Like they're angry at DIY because DIY took them out of the match they were supposed to have with the Guns when the Guns were champions to take their place, and then DIY won that match. So like, yeah, and then they've been confused by the Guns because remember Saban and I think it was Shelly was Gargano's like mentor and stuff, like taught him how to wrestle, and so like they had that. So like Street Profits are kind of on that DTA energy right now, which
Yeah,
I totally get. And then of course, fucking Pretty Deadly lied to them. So when you look at it from every angle, they're mad at every worthwhile team. It's not like they're like bullying anybody irrelevant like fucking Trick Williams with Kel Dixon or giving attitude to fucking Javon. No, I mean I look at Street Profits anger as completely legitimate, and this edge is like not heel worthy at all. Like I still see them 100% as the baby faces. They are rightfully aggrieved, and their anger is righteous to me. Their anger is just, and so yeah, I'm rooting for them next week. But I worry with Pretty Deadly winning this match that either they're not going to win and it's going to be something screwy, or they will win, and then that just confirms for me that they are internally recognized in the company as heels, and I just don't follow that logic at all, like at all. So yeah, we will see about that. Um, I should say later in the show, just because I never know like what this. I don't think this recap includes every like backstage segment or whatever, so it's not completely exhaustive. But Santos is disappointed in Los Garza. Says, we need to start like turning things around. Things aren't going well, which Foster did not like because Foster was straight up asking, when was the last time you even won a match? Which like, ouch, but warranted. And then, when fucking Angel Garza says he's right, he leaves. Andrade Andrade comes in and tells Humberto, why are you treated like this? I know you're worth so much more. So Andrade actually trying to be a mentoring voice to Umberto. And I know you love both guys. So I'm really hoping for your sake. And I love them too, don't get me wrong. I just know you're a big fan of both guys. So I hope for your sake, especially, they do something with this pair. Do you think they try and
Yeah.
make them a tag team? Or,
I mean, it could be very interesting to have those two guys against like Angel and Santos. I mean, those tag matches would be incredible.
yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, okay. We come to this segment, which I thought was the fucking jewel, the glittering jewel of this show. Oh boy. Man, part of me wants to just play this totally straight, and yet I have watched this segment so many times and I have thought about it a lot. And when John does that kind of stuff with my brain, it just makes me want to turn up so bad. I even turned up my crisp just in case I turn up, or turned off my crisp in case I turn up. See, I'm getting tongue twisted already. We haven't started talking about this. So Bianca comes out and, she says, I should feel like I'm on top of the world. I'm going WrestleMania. Face Io Sky, that match was crazy. We'll talk about that later. Trust and believe, folks. We're saving Raw for last. But like her head is just spinning with all this stuff going on with Jade and Naomi. And she says she knows Naomi is here tonight and she wants to call her out. And so Naomi comes out, loving the look. She's even got a neck brace on that's a little, bedazzled. Uh you can already tell Naomi tells on herself so hard with this because Bianca's like, Naomi, what the hell is going on? And Naomi, I swear, her and I were vibing because I'm like, this is such a mood when I'm on my bullshit. He was like, BB, all this noise. I need you to not think about it right now. I need you to lock in with me and keep perspective. What matters is getting our tag titles back from Liv and Raquel and you focusing on WrestleMania. That's it. And then Bianca, like every time Naomi tries to divert the subject, and Bianca's just like, Naomi, like, we're here to talk about Jade. You're talking about everything else, but what we're here to talk about. Talk about Jade. And Naomi says, fine, you want me to talk about Jade? I'll talk about Jade. I think Jade is riding off your coattails. I think Jade has benefited from your greatness, from your hard work. She has been using you. And I've had to be out here by myself in every match, fighting, scratching and clawing, and I didn't say a damn word. And you could see she's starting to get choked up. I thought the emotion from both women was fantastic. The
Yes.
idea that Naomi could cry on cue, I'm like, what the hell?
Kind of makes you wonder how much of what she was saying was true.
I Here's the thing. Okay, I don't want to put the cart before the horse because we still have more about this actual segment to talk about. But I look at Naomi, and again, I told you I've watched this segment multiple times. I fucking love this, right? I think what makes the Naomi character so good is now I want to be careful with my words here, and I don't want to be misunderstood. It's not a one-to-one similarity to Kevin Owens, but I think it's similar to Kevin Owens in the sense that I think Kevin Owens, in his own mind, believes that he's the good guy and that he is the victim. That's what makes him so compelling, right? When he has convinced himself of his own narrative. I think Naomi's very similar here. I think Naomi's understanding of events is like, yeah, like I've been aggrieved. Like, yeah, they haven't had my back. I wish Bailey was still on the same brand because God, I think she'd be an interesting component in this story too. Because we know when Naomi was friends with Bailey, Bianca didn't like it at first, and then Naomi said, "Look, I wasn't here for all that." Whatever, but I'm gonna keep being, friends with Bailey, whatever. And then everybody seemed to come together. And then Naomi does this because to bring it back to the segment, we finally get like Bianca saying Trin, which I love that touch. She uses Naomi's real name to really get her to lock in on what they're talking about. And she says, just answer me. Like, did you do this? Oh my God, Super Blue. You know what? I'm gonna let you have that one because it got a pop out of me. Said, did you do this? And then there's just like this long pause. And Naomi said, I did it. There be, I did it. I did it for you. I did it for us. And then everybody in the comments on the WWE on USA YouTube channel that I watched this from was like Rikishi and Jimmy were like nodding in the background. Rikishi's like, yeah, that's my daughter-in-law. And so yeah, Naomi really pulling the whole I did it for you. And so yeah, that was great. And Bianca is just like she just breaks down at that point because I think Bianca knew deep down it was true, like that Naomi did it, but she didn't want to accept it. And she even says, like, you know what makes this hurt so bad? Because of how much I love you. And then Naomi tries to say, like, I love you too. And then she goes to touch Bianca, and Bianca screams, like, don't touch me. She screams, "Don't like a guttural, don't touch me" scream, which was great. And she says, like, "I can't even look at you right now. You and me, we're done." And then Bianca, she leaves, and Naomi's calling after her like, B, I did this for you. You just don't see that right now. Every time I clock in and focus on myself, all y'all turn on me. And that's what you're doing right now, Bianca. You ungrateful bitch." And that got an audible gasp from the crowd, like, God damn. Um, and Bianca, see, dude, if Jade didn't show up, which I should have expected, given that she did return at Chamber, I thought Bianca was going to go back down to the ring and they were going to throw hands. Because the way Bianca turned her head and looked at her, it's like she was really letting sink in what Naomi just said to her. Um, and yeah, we don't know what Bianca would have done because then we see on the Tron Jade's car come through. She pulls up. She marches with a fucking purpose. Um, she stops just to give a quick glance, like when she's on the ramp at Bianca, and Bianca more or less says, "Hey, she did this to you. You have the right of way, as far as I'm concerned, on this morally." And Bianca leaves, and Jade whoops that ass. Because at first I feel like Naomi was gonna like bait her to maybe get like a chair or something. Naomi isn't able to do shit. Jade wrecks her, and she ends with Jaded, the kind of double chicken wing drop facebuster. And right as she's about to like drop Naomi screams out, "Bianca!" And then gets dropped. I love this segment. I know there were some people critical of it on the YouTube video that I watched it from, but I thought this was fantastic mic work from both women. And again, as me and how I like to enjoy the product, I'm 100% Team Naomi. In fact, I think my favorite line on this was something I didn't even recap, where she said, "You want the truth? I wish I would have pushed her harder,
Yeah.
and I wish I would have pushed her sooner."
Yep.
When I tell you the pride I felt for Naomi in that moment, because I'm like, yes, because, and I'll be honest, and I'm going to say this in a very calm manner. I don't want to get turned up and take 15 minutes because I want to hear your thoughts too. I think Bianca's a terrible person in this. And I just want to say to Bianca personally that when it comes to WrestleMania, I hope you fail. I hope you fail, and I hope Io retains, and then I hope you go back to the same shield that Naomi's on, and she beats your ass too. Maybe you'll go through a windshield next. Who knows? I mean, that's how karma works. So, yeah, go Naomi. She did
Okay.
all this for friendship, only to find out who her real friends are, who
I
is
do.
Bailey.
I do have thoughts, but before I go through my thoughts, I just need to know what makes Bianca a bad person in this.
Well, I knew you were gonna ask that. Classic you. Just the idea that she wouldn't even really just kind of accept that Naomi had opinions when Bianca certainly had opinions about Bailey, and she even had opinions at this past Rumble about Naomi hugging Jordan Grace. Naomi has love for everybody. And Naomi was also right to call the fans out because the first time she turned heel years ago, why did she turn heel? Because she was never getting a shot at the Divas Championship that she felt she earned, which she was correct. And then everybody was like, oh my God, she's asserting herself. Boo! And then she does it again here. Sure, Jade went through a windshield, I guess. I mean, we still haven't seen the video of Naomi actually doing it. Foster could be right that she tripped. We don't know. I mean, Naomi admitted it, sure, but maybe she felt under the gun. False confessions are a thing. And then when she gets hit with Jaded, she calls out for Bianca. Nothing. Nothing. So way to go, Bianca. Way to have Naomi's back. That was great stuff on your part. But yeah, I love Naomi in this. I think this heel run's going to be so much better than her first one, and I look forward to supporting her all the way, just like I support Kevin Owens. And I would even argue. Now, this is me saying this. Think about the gravity of that before I say it. Naomi's a better friend than Kevin Owens. And that's me saying it. So yeah, I'm absolutely on Naomi's side in this, 100%. But
You're
what are your
gonna hate what I have to say.
well, I usually do because you have a conscience and everything, and it's whatever. But go ahead, give your thoughts.
So I know that we usually say this about Republicans, but it can apply to just about anyone who just is insecure and projects. You know how they say every accusation is a confession?
Yeah,
That was pretty much Naomi here.
how so?
Well, because everything that she was accusing Jade of doing, as soon as Jade was out of the picture, she started doing the same thing.
I see, because she stepped in to take that share of the tag titles.
Yeah, because Naomi could never beat Nia. She was never winning that title.
Yeah,
She wasn't finding any success by herself. But as soon as Jade's out of the picture, she steps in and she starts becoming the hanger on to Bianca. She starts becoming the one that is leeching off of Bianca's success, and she does exactly what she was accusing Jade of doing.
Interesting. Interesting. I
And
definitely see where you're coming from. Yeah.
and if you notice, by the way, as soon as both of them were out of the picture, with Jade not being in the chamber match at all, and Naomi being taken out of it by Jade, what's the first thing that happens? Bianca wins the fucking chamber and gets to main event WrestleMania.
See, now somebody did make a similar argument in our Discord. Like somebody, I guess, posted a tweet that was shared by one of our Discord members. But they didn't emphasize the idea of Naomi being out, just Jade being out. And that's kind of what I was thinking. Like, and really, it really, when I think about Naomi's argument about Jade being selfish and kind of using Bianca, why would you choose to take your revenge at the biggest match of Bianca's career, at least at that time? Like, I don't know. Just Naomi, I thought cooked a bit, honestly. And again, I'm really looking forward to this heel run. I'm guessing now this is going to be a singles match at Mania. Um, which I'm curious if that's just going to be a squash because Jade is still pretty green.
Oh
I
yeah,
think she's coming along nicely, but we'll see.
yeah. I'm just saying though, like Naomi being out of chamber, I mean, we'll never know if Bianca would have still won the chamber had Naomi been in it the whole time or not.
True. That is a fair point for sure. For sure.
So I just think it's interesting that Naomi, throws out all these accusations at Jade, talking about how she's, basically leeching off of Bianca's success and then how great she is and her greatness. But as soon as she's able to get Jade out of the picture, it's really just an opportunity for Naomi to do everything that she accused Jade of doing.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, I'm really liking this, and really, like, in all seriousness, because I've had my fun for like those few minutes. It does make Bianca's road to WrestleMania a bit more intriguing because I don't think she could completely disentangle from this. At least I don't think. Um, and that kind of makes me believe right now. I know we're still a ways off from previewing predictions for Mania, but that she's just not winning the title. Like it's either going to be Io retaining or Rhea regaining.
Yeah, that is one thing I do agree with you on, though, is I genuinely do not expect for Bianca to win the title at Mania.
Yeah,
I don't know if it's going to be because she's involved in a match with Naomi and Jade in night one of WrestleMania and then has to try and win the title on night two and just doesn't have the energy after the match that she already had the night before, or if it's just because one of them ends up costing her the match, or maybe like they both end up like fighting each other and they both end up costing her the match. I really don't know. I do think that there's going to be some involvement that ends up costing Bianca the match that's going to lead to her being inserted into it, and we are going to get a triple threat at some point, probably sooner than later. Really, I don't know what the first pay-per-view after Mania is going to be. Maybe Backlash, I don't know.
yeah,
But whatever it is, I do think that we're going to get the Bianca, Jade, Naomi triple threat probably on that show.
yeah. I would agree with you. I would definitely agree with you. So we get Braun versus Solo. Not really much to say here. It's a pretty short matchup because then Jacob interrupts. Him and Braun have a huge brawl that goes all the way like into the crowd and into like the way back of the area of the audience. Braun choke slams Jacob through a table like from an elevated platform. Jacob still gets up though. That to me kind of teases a last man standing match between the two. It's whatever. I think Braun can be good in those types of matches where it's just like brawling and chaos and physicality. But I just care about Jacob getting that rub, so I really don't care about anything else. Then we get our United States Championship street fight. Chelsea, who came out in Cactus Jack inspired attire, which I fucking loved, and Meechin, who came out in an Eagles jersey. Go Birds! They won the Super Bowl this year, so very, very timely. And they were in Philadelphia, so
Yep.
Meechin also doing that. It just works on every fucking level. What did you think of this match, man? I was curious what your thoughts were of this.
Oh, I loved it. I love these two. They always kill it. They're always fun together. It seems like they have a lot of fun in the ring with each other. It was awesome. Chelsea did retain, as you would hope and as you would probably expect at this point. Man, Meechin needs to get her due at some point, though. I hope that it's sooner than later, but I'm not getting my hopes up.
Yeah. I'll tell you what, man. I feel like even the how can I put this? Like the writing and the presentation for the angle, like, at the end of the match was really well done because I had skipped over because, we're trying to really be concise about what we talk about and really focusing on the stuff that we do like to make it a more fun show for everybody, us included. But that Tiffany had beaten Piper. Well, Piper, her credit, was selling it for quite a while. And, at one point, BFAB actually comes out to take out Piper Niven, which, side note, BFAB's going to be having a match with Charlotte next week because they had a backstage segment, nothing really to
Oh
report there.
God,
Um,
yeah, that's not a good. Not, no, I don't know anyone that's looking forward to that one personally.
that's gonna be a skip for me. I'm gonna have a book ready to read while that one's going. So Piper gets taken out, which then introduces a new woman coming in when Meechan's about to get the win after she gets a senton through a table on Chelsea. The table kind of broke, and I love that Meechan just shrugged. She's like, "Look, she's already set up, guys. Like, I'm taking advantage of this. It's for the title." She hits it, and it turns out to be Alba Fire. And
A new
yeah,
member of the Secret Harvest.
yeah, and then Fire gives Mishin a flipping pile driver, which looked really nice, to be fair, on steel chairs.
Yeah,
And then Chelsea covers her for the win. I'm gonna be honest. I have not. I think Gala's like a big fan of them, in our Discord. I have never really cared for Isla Dawn and Alba Fire's tag team. I've never really cared for Alba Fire as a singles competitor. That being said, I always love when people go outside of their comfort zone and do something different. Chelsea is a very good wrestler. I'm not trying to diss her wrestling when I say this, but I think we can all agree on some level she's a comedy wrestler. We're meant to get laughs out of her with her promos, with how
yeah,
she sells, takes bumps, everything else. So Alba is part of a more comedy kind of troupe right now. And I find that interesting because if Alba could oh God, I don't want to sound awful or whatever with this. I feel like I'm kind of treading water, but I feel like Alba is the type that takes herself too seriously. So to kind of see her lighten up and do a bit more of a comedy thing, I think could be very interesting for her. And
right.
honestly, it could turn her career around because I feel like she was kind of circling the drain with the Isla Dawn tag team.
Yeah,
And it's like, but and look, and again, I don't want to be a dick. That's not why I'm saying all that. It's just how I feel. As a singles competitor, she is in a division right now, bro, where I feel like she gets outshined by pretty much everybody. Like, she doesn't have that presence to me to stand out. Like, if you were to tell me the main event of a show was Rhea Ripley versus Alba Fire right now, I would say Rhea should win that almost in a squash to me. I don't care what she did, that being Alba in NXT UK or whatever.
yeah,
She feels like a nothing burger right now to
yeah,
me.
yeah.
So I like that she's doing that. That comes back to the positive though, right? Those are all the reasons why I'm so glad she's doing this because Chelsea is a hot commodity. She's still such a hot commodity to me that when she drops that title, I'm still thinking about her being a future women's champion. And fuck you. And I'm not meaning you specifically. I mean in a general sense. Fuck you if you think she can't do it because I think the crowd's behind her. She's got the promo chops and she can clearly put on great matches when she needs to. So I think Alba's hooked up to the right thing right now to really kind of find herself, keep her momentum going. And yeah, it just gives Chelsea more heel credibility. Like, oh, now there's two of them. Now she's really got a genuine secret Hervis, with two agents instead of one. So I like it, man. But I guess just your quick thoughts because I feel like you're more or less with me about Alba Fire as a talent. You think this will be good for her? You're not really feeling it. How did you feel about it?
I've never really been enthusiastic about her as a talent, but I'm curious to see what she can do here just because she's always been like that wrestler's wrestler type to me, where she's like the type of wrestler that Ilya Dragunov fans like. And I'd like to see this because it's like an opportunity for her to really show more personality. And that's the side of wrestling that I'm more into anyway. So I'm very curious how this works out for her.
Yeah, I think you and I are essentially on the same page there. I am not talking about that Cody Rhodes promo. Screw all of that.
Oh,
Um, yeah, you want me to talk about that match on the road to WrestleMania? Wait till John Cena shows up on TV. I'm sure we'll have plenty to talk about.
hell
That's
yeah.
somebody that actually knows how a fucking mic works. Drew McIntyre beat Jimmy Uso. I'm not going to pull a me and revel in it. We're just going to say that it happened. And Priest attacked Drew to tag Drew back for attacking him at the beginning of the show. I am going to say this right now. I feel like this feud is a waste of both guys. I am not feeling this right now. I feel like Drew, for me, it's so funny with Drew because I think he has one of the best physiques in the entire company. I don't care if this sounds homoerotic. You and I are both very comfortable in our sexuality and our masculinity. We try and present a healthy masculinity on TwitWoW. I love looking at the man like every fucking week. I'm like, Jesus Christ, what did they sculpt you out of? And Priest has been so on fire as a babyface But like again, I know that the world title matches are monopolized, and Jey Uso absolutely earned his. Like Jey has been over as fuck, and John Cena as a heel. I'm sorry, you're not beating that. So I get that it would put guys like this who are upper mid card in a bind, but like. I don't know. Maybe you could have kept the title on Nakamura and then done a Priest McIntyre Nakamura triple threat for the title at Mania. That would have been fun. I would have vibed with that. That would have
See,
been
but
cool.
then we would have been complaining because these guys are better than the U.S. title.
That is true. That is also true. So I feel like with these two guys, and I don't know, maybe I'm making excuses, but I feel like it's kind of a damned if you do, damned if you don't situation. I just don't like that they're working with each other. Like, I'm not really feeling it. I'm not really feeling it. How do you feel about the
Truthfully,
feud?
I really think that the root of the problem is just how terribly Drew McIntyre has been booked for probably like 2 years going now at this point. This
Yeah,
dude cannot win to save his fucking life.
yeah.
And especially just over the last, I would say, like 7 to 8 months or so in particular. Um, Really, you could probably put a pin in losing to CM Punk at SummerSlam as the starting point, where it
Didn't he
really,
beat Punk at SummerSlam and then he lost to Bash in Berlin, right? And then Hell in a Cell, he lost Punk as well.
you might be right, but he didn't. Okay.
He didn't maul Punk at SummerSlam. He didn't squash Punk at
I
SummerSlam. So I
just
think I
have
get like,
such a negative connotation, like a negative association with that SummerSlam match that I think that my brain convinced me that he lost. I think you're right that he won, but he only won because of Seth Rollins, because of
yeah,
the whole bracelet garbage, because Punk was so much more focused on the bracelet and then like Seth fucked it up and everything. Like it was really, really bad. Um, but I think that really like the CM Punk feud specifically ruined Drew McIntyre's momentum, and he hasn't. There's been no booking effort to been like made to get him out of the hole that the CM Punk feud dug for him.
yeah.
Like the CM Punk feud dug a hole, and Drew McIntyre has been stuck there ever since because I don't think that whoever's booking and writing these shows realizes how much like how bitch made Drew McIntyre looks since the Punk feud because like you're this 6'5", 270-pound Greek god and you couldn't beat the guy that failed in MMA.
Yeah.
And now like all you do is bitch on the mic and on social media and lose matches. Like that's your entire gimmick at this point is guy who looks like he could kick anyone's ass but can't pick up a win to save his life and then bitches about it later. And to the point that Priest specifically even made a meme out of it by telling Drew, all you're going to do after Chamber is complain on social media. And that's literally exactly what happened. Like, it is bad. Drew McIntyre is the probably most misused wrestler of 2025 so far. And really, you could go back to the second half of 2024 too.
Yeah.
And like this feud feels like a waste of both guys, but at the end of the day, it also doesn't really feel like there's anything that you could do with either guy that would be an upgrade from facing each other right now, either.
Yeah. Yeah. Bro, I'll tell you, the booking of Drew, if I still believed wrestling was real, it would have broke my immersion because I would have been like, how does a guy that looks like that lose all the big matches? Like it makes no fucking sense. Um, but yeah, they're doing a program. I like both guys.
I'm
I'm
just
sure they'll
glad
do
that
their
Drew
best.
beat Jimmy Uso this week, and that's how you know the bar is in the fucking dirt when you're like breathing a sigh of relief that Drew beats Jimmy fucking Uso.
Yeah, literally my reaction to that is cool, you beat the other one. Like, okay.
Right? Like it's really bad.
Fuck you, Jimmy Uso. So yeah, Drew wins. He's gonna be doing a feud with Priest. Cool, I guess. We also know next week, I think SmackDown is in MSG, and we know that AJ Styles is gonna be calling out Logan Paul. So I guess that's Logan's WrestleMania match is fucking AJ Styles. Goddamn. And then yeah, the end of SmackDown,
No, you
LA
know
Knight.
what? I don't even think that that's necessarily the case because um I think I mean that match is happening and I know about it as far as like the MSG show coming up. But I don't think that Logan versus AJ is going to be a Mania match. I think that AJ is going to be involved in the IC title schmaz that we're probably going to get, also involving Finn and probably also involving fucking Ludwig, and maybe even Sheamus and Butch.
Yeah. Yeah, I guess we'll see. Unless, I mean, WrestleMania is 2 nights, but they've never really double booked guys like that usually. I
I
mean,
mean, we
yeah.
know at Mania is going to be 2 nights for sure, but I think you're right that like it's not a common thing to see someone work both shows.
No, no, it's not. Um, yeah, and then the last thing was LA Knight beat Shinsuke, and who gives a fuck? Fuck LA Knight. So that was SmackDown. And that leaves the best show of this week by far, Monday Night Raw, which got a lot of award noms from me, including
Same,
non-PLE Show of the Year, and I know you were the same. In
exactly.
fact, I credit you for even bringing up that possibility
Yep.
because I jumped on that immediately. We open with CM Punk. Now, let me be the first saying get out ahead of this, and I actually want to give the baton to you because I'd love to hear your full thoughts on this. I have given CM Punk a lot of grief. He's old. He's irritable. He's old. But I'll tell you, he really, really stepped up on the mic this week, and I feel like his promos have been stronger lately for me. People could say that he's been hotter for a lot longer, and maybe it's just been me being checked out. That's totally fair. I mean, there have been weekend reviews where I've said I really didn't watch much this week, actually, um, but I was very dialed in this week, and what a week I picked because just for Raw alone, I mean, Punk fucking ate. What did you think about this promo, man? I wanted your thoughts more in depth as far as this segment goes.
Yeah, no, I remember being very invested in this promo, and really, I do think that Punk in general has had me very invested in most of his promos, if not all of his promos, for quite a while now. Honestly, probably at least 2 or 3 months at this point. He has been really just clicking on all cylinders on the mic lately, and yeah, I think really kind of since the build towards Rumble, it's been just all gas, no brakes, as Jacob Fatu would say. And yeah, he's been killing it on the mic. And I don't want to like him, but he is doing a great job of promoting his feuds and his matches. And he sure does a great job of selling himself as a tough guy, even if I don't think it's particularly believable, because like we've literally seen you get your ass kicked by amateurs.
Yeah, I mean, dude, again, like, not to harp on it, I think I've been very good about it, but he is very old. And so when you get in that ring,
How old
you know,
is John? Do you know?
what is he, like 52? I mean, no, he's probably like 48, right? Or something like that. He
He's
feels like
only,
he's in his
dude,
mid.
you're even still overselling it. He's only 46.
Wow.
He's the same age as Randall.
Well, I guess he is gonna main event
Oh wait, no,
WrestleMania
you know
against
what?
this.
I lied. Randall's only 44. I apologize.
Jesus Christ. Well, when Punk does main event at WrestleMania, we'll already know his opponent, his osteoarthritis, apparently, because Jesus Christ, how the fuck you moving, my guy? But no, if we could just replace Punk with a far more competent CM Punk, AI or something, since AI is doing everything else, you have the human CM Punk cut the promos, and then you have the Punk AI do the matches. And you've really got the best run of his fucking career. Because that really is, like, to be serious for a second, that really is kind of his problem right now with this kind of fairy tale run is he can talk people into the building. I mean, that this promo made that fucking clear. Um, but like, yeah, and he didn't even do bad in Chamber. I will give him that. Like on an in-ring front, I don't think he did bad for his stuff in Chamber. And in fact, his interaction with Cena was some of my favorite stuff all match because I think Cena is willing to like work the speed that Punk is at now, and they can do a different but still really good match from where they are now. And so when you put all that in perspective, yeah, like, it really is dependent for CM Punk on this run who his dance partner is. But yeah, by and large, it's like the matches have been pretty meh. Like you look at that Drew feud, the promos to start, it's like, man, this is gonna be fucking great. I didn't enjoy a single one of their matches. Hell in a Cell was really, and even that, I feel like it overcompensated by being overly gratuitous. But that's just me. So yeah, Punk's just in a very weird place. But this promo fucking ate. He called
Yeah.
Rock and Cena both bald frauds. My two favorite moments in this promo were when he slapped his arm, like his forearm, making fun of The Rock doing the goosebumps spot during his entrance, and the crowd gives him a big pop because you're not here to slap your arm and do your bullshit. I thought that was great. And then my other favorite line, which I think I even put this as a quote of the year, and when he says, "I'm going to get my hands on both of you bald frauds, and when I do, you're gonna make a wish that I never did." And yeah, like I don't know, man. Punk really sold his anger and frustration, particularly with Cena. Because the funny thing is, like, Punk won't admit this, and I'm definitely projecting, but the way Punk came off to me in this promo was that he wanted to believe that Cena was everything he sold himself as.
Yeah.
And I feel like you can hear in Punk, like, you let all these people down, but he didn't say it, but I feel like you want to say, you let me down too. Because I was so jaded and I was so cynical, but you were always the one to say, keep going, hustle, loyalty, respect, and to find out that it was bullshit even from you. Like, again, Punk would never say it as a character, but I got that even he felt personally let down by Cena. And that just kind of added to it for me. I mean, he hugged John in the fucking chamber. So I'm like, damn, that's crazy. Then he goes to talk about Seth, and he says, Becky, come get your man because I'm gonna get my hands on him. And credit to Punk again, Seth's music hits, and Punk really doesn't miss a fucking beat. He puts the mic down, he goes up to Seth, and the brawl they have. I mean, I put that on in my unsanctioned segment of the year, like, nomination list. I thought this was a really well done brawl. You could feel the intensity between these guys. And yeah, like, again, I continue to love Seth's character. And Punk, if only the in ring would step up, and again, Chamber wasn't bad because the promos are now really cooking. I'm like, maybe it just took me a while, but now I'm actually seeing the value of having CM Punk here. It was a really, really fucking hot start to Raw. Credit to both guys for sure. And just to kind of put the threads together, they are going to have a steel cage match next week in Madison Square Garden. And that, honestly, I know I've been really good lately about being timely and getting my affairs in order. I hope I can continue that streak, if for nothing else, to see this match, because these guys really are doing amazing work. I'm almost wondering if Roman returns on that show. It's Madison Square Garden. It's Seth Rollins, who took him out at Rumble. It's CM Punk, who he has kind of a weird dynamic with. I feel like we're going to get a Roman appearance. I'm just going to get ahead and say that right now, but we will see. But yeah, then we get some backstage stuff, Alpha Academy getting ready for stuff. Then the Judgment Day, still teasing, Dom still wants a new member. Finn says, forget about it. I got this. But Finn, I had a moment in the Discord where I said Finn's sucking, but I meant to type Finn's sulking. And then I felt bad about that because I do really like Finn. You guys know that. But yeah, he's just sulking on the couch. Nah, everybody's talking and nobody's paying attention to how sad I am. And it's like, Finn, what are you doing? Like, get your shit together, my dude. Um, After that, Gunther cuts a promo pretty much how he was going to embarrass Otis, and that he's going to teach Otis about respect and this and that. So we get Gunther versus Otis. And brother, I'm going to hand the baton to you again here in a second, but I just got to say, I want things for Gable, but I'm increasingly realizing that I also want things for Otis this year. I still see this guy as like a bigger babyface than what he is. I'm not going to go out and say main event and multi-time world champion. Could I see the guy getting one underdog title reign for maybe like 2 months? I could honestly see it. Yeah. Like, he's so good. I really like Otis, man. I don't know. I thought this was a fun match. What did you think about this?
Yeah, I mean, it was cool. It was more of Gunther doing his thing. I like that we got to see Otis do a caterpillar, but he kind of botched it. He didn't really get up all the way to drop the elbow, so it didn't look great. Yeah, I mean, I don't really have much to say about this. We can move on, unless you have more to say about it. But
No, 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 absolutely not, man. We can move on. That's fine. Um, Ivy Nile versus Lyra. I don't have much to say about this. Lyra just retains, Nightwing,
yeah,
and so yeah.
I thought this was a solid match, though. Honestly, I remember really enjoying this one. I thought this was a really good showing for Ivy because if I remember correctly, didn't Ivy work over a limb here?
She did. I believe she worked over the arm, if I'm not mistaken. I think. Lyra got a cool backbreaker in the corner that I liked. I thought that was cool. It kind of reminded me of that old school Orton backbreaker. That, to be fair, he still does. But like, I
Oh,
remember
right,
like
like
in
the
his
over
younger.
the
Yeah,
backbreaker
yeah,
thing.
yeah,
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 yeah. I gotcha.
yeah. And
I
then
could
she
have
hits Nightwing.
sworn that Ivy worked the knee, but I could be wrong.
You know what? You're probably right. I'm gonna defer to you on this one. So she worked over the knee. Clearly wasn't enough. Apparently, like in one of those like .com exclusives, like social media exclusives, Lyra said she was looking ahead to WrestleMania. I am too, and I'm still waiting for Becky Lynch to show up and challenge you. But I'm starting to think that's just not gonna happen.
No, yeah, I don't think it's gonna happen, honestly. Which, like, at that point, who is it? Because part of me thinks still that like the person who's going to be Lyra's main challenger around WrestleMania, and I even emphasize around WrestleMania because I'm convinced at this point that she's not going to be on the Mania card at all, and that she might just be
Yeah,
defending her title on like the Raw after Mania instead. But yeah, I'm convinced that whoever that challenger is isn't even on the roster right now. So like, here's an idea. Actually, maybe they just do an open challenge on the Raw after Mania, and we get a return, whether it is Becky or maybe Asuka even.
still would be cool. See, it's funny because like I'm not giving up on the women's intercontinental title as a concept, right? And I'm not even giving up on Lyra either. It's just I'm already kind of concerned about the title reign. But I'm being patient. I don't want to make any pronouncements or anything. But we'll just see where it goes. Let's just say that I'm keeping an eye on it, and I'm like, okay, where is this gonna go? But yeah, it was a solid enough match. This is the only segment that I really kind of zoned out of. So I really don't have anything to say about this unless you do.
Which
It was
segment
just
was this now?
Ludwig Kaiser talking, and then Penta just kind of lays him out for the end of the segment.
Oh,
So
yeah, no, I'm good.
cool, cool. Yeah, that energy is a mood. So yeah, we know that Grayson Waller is going to be facing Jey Uso next week. Cool. They're still doing A Town Down Under stuff. Whatever. Um, we get the Chad Gable okay, this is something I know you can sink your teeth into because I both know we really like this. They do the Chad Gable vignette where he's going around Mexico asking different people about the luchador. What
I
did you think about all this, man?
loved this. This was so fucking good. This gave Lucha Underground vibes big time. The way it was
Definitely.
shot, the atmosphere, the vibe, like everything. This really gave Lucha Underground vibes. Um, and I'm assuming that it was just a luchador mask in the box.
Yeah. Yeah, I believe it was too, because I even said in the Discord, so that's a mask, right? And everybody was
Yeah,
just like, yeah, probably.
yeah.
Um, so yeah, good stuff there. And then our World Tag Team Championship match, the War Raiders versus the Creed Brothers as
Oh
part of
my
American
god,
Made.
this match ate, dude. It's weird because the crowd was like pretty mild, pretty quiet until Brutus fucking Creed hit a 450.
See, now I want to say something that I rarely say on here, mainly because I don't want to confront my own issues, but Brutus Creed's a better man than me. Because if I had his girth and I pulled that shit off, I would have popped myself so goddamn hard, I would have done a signature Brutus Creed laugh. And I would have broken the whole flow of the match because I would have been like, I can't believe I did that. Holy, like when you and I get a really cool Rocket League goal, that would have been me. And I would have been like, holy shit, I just did that. I'm amazing. And they would have been like,
Dude,
yo, do the pin or whatever. But yeah.
it's just crazy though, because like it didn't stop after that. Because it was like he hit that, and then we got I don't remember who was on the receiving end of any of these, but I know he hit the 450, and then fucking Ivar hit a moonsault, and then Brutus hit a moonsault, and then Julius hit a shooting star press. It was nuts, man.
That shooting star, let me tell you something. That shooting star is the shooting star Brock wanted to hit at WrestleMania
It
19.
really was. Yeah, it really was. I mean, don't get
That
me wrong,
shit,
Julius is nowhere near as rocked up as Brock was back then, but it was still damn impressive because he's still a hell of a lot bigger than most of the guys that have ever hit a shooting star are, like Billy Kidman and, Evan Bourne and shit like that.
these guys, were they ever NXT Tag Team Champions?
I
Because
don't
I don't
think
remember them
so,
being NXT champions.
no.
Like, the idea that they have not won any tag gold low key kind of pisses me off. It's like, they are insane. These guys are nuts. And
Yeah.
really, even
Oh, they were NXT tag champs one time.
okay, I thought so. I thought so. Because,
Yeah.
yeah, dude, they're fucking nuts. Like, and I know
They they were the team that beat Pretty Deadly in Pretty Deadly's first run, and they dropped them right back to Pretty Deadly just a few months later.
okay.
This was
And
when
like,
they were still in Diamond Mine.
yeah. And here's the funny thing. I don't know if the company still feels this way, but we know a few years ago, it seemed like internally they were looking at Julius as like a future big star. But I don't think I look at Brutus the way a lot of people deservedly and rightfully started looking at Angelo Dawkins and Street Profits. Like I see a bit of an upside to him too, especially because unlike Julius, I think he's learning to laugh at himself a bit more, like in a good way, with the laugh and everything. And like, I know it's goofy, but people are going to remember me for this. And so, yeah, I think both guys, even if you wanted to do singles with them in the future, there is value there. So I really, really like these guys. This was a really fun fucking match. War Raiders do retain. I'm thinking that it's just ultimately going to be War Raiders versus New Day at Mania, and we'll have to see where they go from there.
I honestly hope that it's kind of more like tag turmoil, like Schmaz Gauntlet or multi-team match, because I really want to see the Creed Bros still involved, and I would really like to also see Otis and Tozawa involved as well.
Yeah, yeah. And really, I feel like the Raw Tag Team division is interesting. It's just very interesting the direction, or it's curious the direction that it's going to be both at Mania and post Mania. Because actually, it's low key kind of stacked. I mean, you see matches like this, and it's like, goddamn it. Then you have fairy tale underdog teams like, Tozawa and Otis, American Alpha, and, or excuse me, Alpha Academy. Alpha
Yeah.
Academy. American Alpha was Chad Gable and Jason Jordan. My apologies. A lot of alphas going on here. And the Creeds and just so many fucking teams that it's like, I could see the belts on these guys. So yeah, really cool stuff. We know in storyline, the commentary updates us that Sami Zayn's going to be out indefinitely. Going to be very curious how they get him back into the fold. Then we know that speaking of the tag division, Rey Mysterio and Dragon Lee are going to be facing New Day in a tornado tag match next week. That's going to be a lot of fun. That could
Yeah.
actually be a sleeper matchup because I know Punk and Rollins in a cage is happening,
Yeah.
but that tornado tag,
Dude,
I feel like
Raw
it's going to be.
MSG next week is going to be, and I mean, I say next week, but it's in 2 days. It's going to be insane.
Yeah, it really is, and it's got big shoes to fill with how this Raw was because I really, really enjoyed this show. Um, So then Finn comes out. Well, Braun at first is getting interviewed, and then Finn kind of interrupts it. And then he's talking about the Intercontinental title and says that the only reason Braun Breaker still even has the Intercontinental title is because Judgment Day has allowed it. Okay. And long story short, for this segment, they try and get the jump on Braun, but Braun lays him out. So they really made Braun look like a fucking stud, which isn't that hard to do. I mean, look at the fucking dude. So, there was that. And so, yeah, he kind of stood tall there. And then we get our main event, Io Sky versus Rhea Ripley for the Raw Women's World Title. And I know you love Io to death, and I know you're a huge fan of Rhea, so I will give you the honors. What did you think about this matchup, man? Now they've had all this time to digest it.
It was pretty good. I would definitely say that these two have, I mean, I don't want to just say a lot left in the tank, but I do think that, I guess if you would just say, like, if I would put all of the potential Rhea Ripley versus Io matches in my mind on a scale of 1 to 10, this was like a 5, because I know they can do a hell of a lot better than this. I didn't think it was bad by any means, but I know that these women can do a lot better. I know that these two women are insanely talented, and I know that um, their matches have the potential to be match of the year candidates, and this didn't come close to that for me personally.
And it's so funny you say that because I'm literally the exact opposite. This made my match of the year list.
And
Um,
Javaris agrees with you. Javaris is on the same side as you. He said that it was a match of the year candidate for him. So clearly, I'm in the minority here.
yeah, I'll tell you what, like, I'm gonna sing Io's praises for a second, as if we don't do that enough already on this show. But I've realized one of the things that's really great about Io, but that I really like about her specifically, is she's got that like Eddie and Benoit quality where I don't even know how tall Io is, but she comes off smaller sometimes. And Rhea, who's got all this muscle and all this build, and yet Io's offense against Rhea is just so believable. Like I thought her counter wrestling to a lot of Rhea's power offense was so fucking
Bro,
well
I
done.
saw a post from someone. I think there was some point over the week. I almost said weekend, but it is the weekend. At some point this week, I saw someone on a post talk about like meeting wrestlers in real life, and they were surprised at how like sturdy Io Shirai is. They said that she's built like a tank. So like that kind of goes pretty far to explain that like believability that you're talking about.
Yeah, because like When you think back to, of course, the Eddie match that I know a lot of fans think about, his match with Brock where he wins the WWE title, like, I actually watched that match in full a few years ago because I only ever watched the finish just because it's so emotional. But, like, yeah, Eddie wrestles such a believable fucking match against Brock. And it's like, yeah, I see it. And I got a very similar vibe here. Not to say that, like, Rhea is this all imposing figure, but let's be real. She is a pretty dominant fucking wrestler with how she's booked. And, like, I just love the answer that Io had to so much of the offense. I think she did like multiple victory roll counters in this match, which I thought was like, wow, she just keeps finding ways to escape. And Rhea, for her part, she is just such a complete fucking wrestler. The character work, the offense, everything. She's getting increasingly frustrated as the match goes on. You could tell she's getting desperate because they've made a point to say that Rhea has never beaten Io, which I love. I love that they really hammer that home. And at one point, she slams Io's head against the apron and then just, I think, on the announce table. And she goes to take the count out. And she's like, count, 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 whatever. And Bianca is kind of encouraging Io to get back in the ring because she's enjoying the match like the rest of us. She's like, man, this is fucking eating right now. I'm going to face one of these women. Holy shit. Well, Io beats the count and Rhea sees Bianca cheering for Io, and she gets in her feelings about it. She's like, "Wait, do you not want to face me at Mania? Is that it?" And then she actually shoves Bianca. And now you and I at the time said that it seemed like this was Rhea trying to get disqualified.
Yeah.
This was Rhea feeling really desperate against Io that she can't beat her and wanting to get the match thrown out. And I thought she was going to get what she wanted because Bianca pulled Rhea out, shoved her, and said, "You focus on her, you get back in the ring." But then Jessica Carr, she comes out and she says, "I'm not throwing this match out. This is for the championship." And we both love that. I thought that was a great moment for her because you don't want
I
a match
wish
broken for
though
now.
that they would be more consistent about that. I wish that we would get more moments in important matches where shit like this happens and they're like, "No, I'm not throwing it out." I hate that they're very selective about it, and it's just like this one time we had one referee decide to be cool about it and not screw the challenger over by disqualifying the champion because of an attack like this. I really wish that there was any level of consistency to this, but of course it's WWE, so they're going to do whatever the fuck they want.
I do agree with you on the consistency part because the last time that I saw this, I'm sure there was a more recent instance, but it just makes me think about Royal Rumble 2003, actually, Triple H versus Scott Steiner, where the whole story was Triple H was so overwhelmed by Steiner that they tried to get deliberately disqualified, and Hebner was like, "No, I'm not going to do it. Screw you, fight the matchup." And then finally, he did have to throw the match out when Triple H used a goddamn sledgehammer. But up until then, he just was not throwing the match out. So I guess Rhea should have just gone to the steel chair, but Rhea doesn't do that because, well, first let's finish up this matchup, and then I want to talk about like kind of the post match with Rhea. So Rhea sets up Io for like a middle rope kind of riptide. She looks at Bianca and she says, "See you at WrestleMania, Bianca," which was a huge mistake. You forget who you're in the ring with because she goes to deliver it, and Io gets this beautiful Hurricane Rana counter. And like Frankensteiner counter, and it's just fantastic. Rhea sells the back like, "Oh fuck." Io immediately hits the moonsault because I didn't even know if Rhea would get her knees up. When Io hit the moonsault, I'm like, "Fuck, she's just winning," and she does. They actually commit to the title change here, and I think that's what put it over the top for me for a match of the year. If Rhea had just retained, or if they had done the non-finish, which I was really dreading, like it would have missed it. But the idea that they committed to the title change and it goes to Io, so they further the story again that Rhea has never beaten Io. Like this was just great all around to me. I love this. And then I say again, I said it in the Discord, I say it again here. Charlotte Flair fucking sucks. There is nothing she does that's good. To me, if you're talking WWE and you're talking about the best woman in the company, it's funny because I think we're getting the triple threat with the three women that I would consider competing with each other. It's
Yeah.
it's Ia, it's Io, it's Bianca, it's Rhea. And why Rhea is on that list? One, she wrestles fucking great matches. She's been given Charlotte great matches. You're welcome, by the way. Um, and she knows how to sell a fucking loss, dude. She was crashing out after this shit. She's like laying on the floor. She's like rubbing her temples. She's like, look, she's like, stupid. That was so stupid. How can I be so stupid? Like, she knows this wasn't just about the title. I mean, it was, but it was the idea like this was for WrestleMania. Like, I just lost my chance. And then she gives an interview afterwards with Jackie Redmond, and like she kills this too.
Yeah.
Because here I'm thinking like, oh, Rhea is like she's cracking under the pressure, like she really felt the pressure of Io. But for Rhea, it goes deeper than that because she looked at Bianca. I guess her and Naomi now have something to bond over, and said like she just felt hurt by Bianca's actions because anytime she's been interviewed, anytime she's been asked, what's your dream WrestleMania match? It's always her versus Bianca Belair. And she felt like when she saw Bianca encouraging Io, which again, my reasoning is Bianca got sucked into the match like the rest of us, and she just wants to see it keep going. I wanted to see it keep going, so I don't actually blame Bianca for this in all sincerity. But she said when she saw Bianca do it, she felt hurt because I guess she just felt like Bianca no longer shared that dream. She thought it was something they shared together, and she thought they were friends. But then she also knows that she's friends with Io, and she even acknowledges, like, I know that we're all kind of friends because we teamed in war games and stuff like that. So Rhea acknowledging the history, but then she also says, like, the stuff with Dom and the stuff with Judgment Day, like it hurt me. It cut me deep. It screwed me up. And like Jackie, credit to her because not only is she like a passive interviewer, it feels like she's a part of the conversation. She says, you're saying all this. It just sounds like you're isolated. Would you say that you're isolated? And then Rhea just kind of like, yeah, yeah, isolated is the word I would use. So you have a Rhea Ripley that feels socially isolated, which is fascinating to think about, like as a character where they could take this. And I just hope they don't do basic shit where it's like, fine, if I'm not gonna have any friends, then I'll just dominate on my own because that's so boring to me. But we'll see what they do with it. But yeah, I liked getting into the inner workings of her psychology and her mindset and everything else. This is a great main event. The women across the board ate this week because again, even on NXT, Solruka and Zarya and Chelsea and Piper, they delivered. I mean, if they haven't earned an evolution too, what the fuck do they have to do? Because I mean, they continuously are one of the best parts of the product, like across the board. And this was just a fantastic end to Raw seeing Io celebrate with the title. I can't believe she's going back to back WrestleManias in as the champion. And what's even crazier, she did it on both brands because last year she was SmackDown. She was the SmackDown Women's Champion. Now she's got the Raw Women's World Title. I mean, yeah, Io wanted to come to WWE so bad. We remember hearing the stories like, oh, would she? Because they found some medical stuff, and then she was able to. And man, she did not waste it. She has really made a legacy here. She's definitely getting up there with Asuka as far as like building a legacy. I'm very cool for Io. Very, very cool. So that was WWE for the week. Now we can get to the extracurriculars, and I'll tell you what, bud. For me, just because I hate AEW so much, why don't you talk about the AEW first so we get that out of the way, and then I'd really like for you to talk about Evolve because I'm actually excited to hear you talk about that.
Okay,
So
yeah. But
yeah,
I mean, you know what though? Before we do move on, I would just like to comment a little bit more on this women's match in this situation.
of course,
Um,
of course.
I wanted to talk to you, or really just wanted to ask you, get your opinion. Do you think Io just retains at Mania, or do you think that there is a real chance that she drops the title back to Rhea, or even drops it to Bianca?
Right now, okay, just answering you right now, barring in mind that my mind could change by the time we get to preview and predictions. I don't see Bianca winning at all right now. And really, like, I hated this Rhea title reign, but honestly, I think it ended better than it started because I hated the whole Undertaker thing, and I actually am okay with how it ended for the whole story reasons that we just unpacked. I think Io retains right now, is
Yeah.
where I'm leaning.
Okay.
We'll see what I say when it comes time for preview predictions.
Okay. So I say that because I was just kind of in my mind plotting out how I would handle this story. Um, and I think it would be really interesting to, rather than go sort of the predictable route of Rhea turning heel, basically, and having her be like, I don't have any friends. You can't have friends in this business. Friends aren't real, which is actually a line that she said in their promo. The friends aren't real. Have her back down from that and legitimately try to swallow her pride and stay friends with Io and even Bianca going into this Mania match and have her still, have it still be built as a triple threat and have Rhea say like, Io, I did you the favor of giving you this match, for my title, even though, that you didn't technically earn the shot or whatever. I was doing it because you were my friend. So can you, as my friend, allow me to be a part of this match and challenge for this title at WrestleMania? And have Io do it. Have them stay good friends. Have Io be like, yeah, absolutely. Have Bianca be upset about it, but have her be like, you know what? Because I do feel a degree of guilt over what happened to you. Yeah, sure, fine. Let you can be a part of it. I'm still going to win no matter what. And there's also some pride to that too. And have Rhea stay peaceful the whole time. Have Rhea be like swallowing her pride the whole time. Have her go into the match babyface, pure babyface. I mean, badass still, obviously, because it's Rhea fucking Ripley. Have all three of them go into the match as baby faces, but have Rhea win the title with ever so slightly shady means. Like maybe she grabs tights, or maybe she has like a foot on the rope, or maybe Bianca hits a KOD on Io and Rhea throws her out of the ring and pins her, or like picks her back up, hits the fucking Riptide and wins. Something that's not cheating explicitly because it's a triple threat and there are no rules, so you can't really cheat in a triple threat, but is very clearly shady, and then have Io be pissed about it afterwards.
Yeah.
I think you
Mm.
can get so much story out of it if you do it that way. And I think that's so much more interesting and layered than just having Rhea be like, fuck you both, friends aren't real, I'm a bad guy now. I think that's so much more one dimensional than what I came up with just there.
Yeah, and, like, let me just address this, and then we can move on to extracurricular, because again, I still think we're making good time, and I wanna get to forum and all that stuff. But I feel like Rhea is still so hot right now with the crowd as a babyface.
Yeah.
I think to turn her heel would be a colossal mistake.
And
I don't
WWE is
know.
doing a really good job lately with telling actual complex stories too.
Yes, I
Like
agree.
with the Kevin stuff and with the Seth Punk stuff and with the Naomi Bianca Jade stuff now, like they're doing an amazing job of telling legitimately compelling complex stories. I think they could pull it off with Rhea and Io.
Yeah, I completely agree. And you know what? On that note, I think we can leave it there unless you have more you want to say. And again, to recourse, when you're ready, just
Yes,
walk us
Collision.
through AEW.
Yeah.
Yeah,
So, okay, admittedly I did not watch much of Dynamite. What I did see of Dynamite wasn't very good. I watched the first like minute or two of Dynamite. The first thing that happened on Dynamite was an MJF promo. I hated it. It was awful. I think he's awful at talking. I think he screams everything, and it's literally like at a certain point when you're trying to make everything sound like it's the most intense thing in the world, it loses all meaning, and I don't care what you have to say anymore. And that happened to me about 5 years ago for MJF. But the next thing that I remember from AEW, again though, kind of similar, where it's like everything in AEW is turned up to 11 and it makes everything meaningless. So Mariah and Tony had a sit down interview with Renee, and they opened the interview with Mariah spitting in Tony's face. And Tony just sits there and doesn't react, and we continue with the interview, and Mariah's acting her fucking ass off, talking about look what she made me do to her, look what you made me do to you, Tony, look what you made me do, and like this whole thing. Mariah is fantastic as far as I'm concerned. And Tony, I honestly, this is me just being admitting I have a flaw, just fully embracing it. I don't think that I am capable of taking Tony Storm seriously as long as she has this goofy ass accent. This is not her natural, normal Australian accent. She is using this weird, fake, old timey accent that I genuinely loathe. Um, and it just straight up not only does it make me not take her seriously, but it makes it so that I don't even remember the shit she says because I'm too busy being distracted by how garbage this accent is. And I apologize because I have no clue what she said because of it. So Tony said something. I don't know what it was. I was too busy again being distracted by the terrible accent that she's doing. But of course, she says stuff back to Mariah. And apparently there was even this Queen of the Ring movie that's coming out with Emily Bett Rickards playing Mildred Burke, the Mildred Burke biopic that's coming out, Queen of the Ring.
yeah.
Mariah showed up and caused a stir because Tony is, I think, maybe in the movie. I don't know. But it was the premiere, and Tony was invited, and I don't think Mariah was, but Mariah showed up and started screaming at Tony and causing a scene. And it was great fucking promotion for their match on Sunday. I don't think that they did anything about that match for on Collision tonight, but still, I just love Mariah. I think she's fantastic.
Absolutely, brother. Absolutely.
Um, I don't think I remember anything else from Dynamite actually. I would have to pull up a results page, which I can do to see if anything else happened on Dynamite that I actually remember. Dynamite
Y- Yeah.
3-5. Here we go. Um, Don Callis family and Brian Keith versus Orange Cassidy, Mark Briscoe, Will Ospreay, and Hobbs. I don't remember that. I don't remember that. Statlander and Thunder Rosa versus Penelope Ford and Megan Bayne. This was on in the background. I didn't pay attention to it. Jay White versus Matt Caster, same thing. Swerve and Brody King versus Okada and Ricochet, same thing. So I don't remember anything else from Dynamite. Moving on to Collision. So I remember a lot from Collision, but I need to find some kind of recap as like a booster because it's. I watched the show tonight and I actually watched it from beginning to end, if you can believe it. But memory wise, I'm not great. So let me pull up my own Blue Sky. That'll help.
Yeah.
Here we go. So the opening match was Momo Watanabe versus Serena Deeb.
Well, that sounds fucking fire.
Yeah, it was a really good match. Momo won with Peach Sunrise. I will say though, it's unsettling to see Momo Watanabe in her full black hate gear being a babyface because she is a babyface right now in AEW because she's feuding with Mercedes Moné.
Okay.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it's weird and unsettling, and I'm not a fan, but she's still great. I mean, Momo Watanabe, I think, is just in a vacuum one of the best women's wrestlers in the world right
Yeah, I would definitely see that argument for sure.
now. Tony Schiavone, I think, needs to be replaced on commentary as soon as they possibly can. I don't think they're going to make any effort to do it because I think they like him there, but I think he actually is like detrimental to the product. I think he's really bad at his job.
Yeah, not gonna get any argument from me. Mainly because I couldn't put one up even if I wanted to, because I just don't watch the product. But I'll take your word for it.
There were several promos on the show. The first two were Osprey and Fletcher, and I thought Fletcher actually cut the better promo out of the two because Osprey was just screaming and like, do you remember actually, you know what? This is probably something you have no clue about, so I'm not even going to ask you. So there was this series of online YouTube, actually, I shouldn't even say online, of YouTube Photoshop tutorials back in the day. And when I say back in the day, I mean like early days of you, like late 2000s, like 08, 09. There was an ongoing series on YouTube called "You Suck at Photoshop," and it was a series of Photoshop tutorials. And the guy
I
who,
love that web series.
wait,
Yeah,
you have seen it then?
I've seen it. Yeah,
So you saw the last episode then when it was revealed that it was Dane Cook behind the whole thing.
yeah, yeah,
So you know how at the very end when he's like laying there and the last line of the series is Dane Cook, full face in shot saying, "You suck at Photoshop."
yeah,
All like sounding like he's all in pain and shit.
yeah.
So would you agree with me that shit, like just that at the very end, just Dane Cook sounding like he's in pain saying that line was cringe as fuck?
At the time I probably enjoyed it, but if I were to watch it now, I probably would agree. Yeah,
Right. So just this whole idea of like doing your best to deliver what you consider to be an iconic line while also trying to sell being in pain, in my opinion, is cringe as fuck. And Osprey did that tonight. And I was like, oh my God, you suck. So Osprey tonight, while trying to sell that he was in pain, tried to deliver what I guess is his catchphrase now because he was like, "I'm Will Ospreay, and I'm on another level," and I'm like, "Oh my god, you're so fucking cringe, dude! It sucked so bad, I swear."
yeah. I hate him so much. I just want to
Dude,
put that out there.
he's so bad. And like, I don't think Fletcher's promo was great, but like I'd give it like a C plus. Like it was more good than bad, I would say. It wasn't terrible by any means, like Osprey's was. And but like the bad thing is Osprey's promo is getting all the attention. Everyone's talking about how great Osprey's promo was, and I'm like, what the fuck is wrong with these people, bro?
You know, God, no, I don't want to be an asshole right now. Let's keep going. What else happened on the
Oh,
show?
yeah. So, and the reason that I bring this up though is because both of these guys had something in common with their promos, which is that they both screamed them. Everyone in AEW shouts their promos.
Yeah,
And then we got like a Don Callis promo, and he's shouting, at the camera, talking about how the best decision he ever made was getting rid of Kenny Omega and stuff. And then we get a promo from I think it was Bandito and Gravity, and they're both shouting at the camera like it's fucking 1985 in WWE, and they're Hulk Hogan and shit. And I'm like, oh my god, Can y'all please relax and let the microphone do its job? And then I got a form of relief that from a source I least expected it in, John Moxley.
Oh, wow.
John Moxley was the first motherfucker on this goddamn show to cut a promo in an even tone, and I was so relieved. And I was like, God damn, I might hate his gimmick, and I might hate that he stole this and based his entire faction off of this white supremacist gang in Romper Stomper, but I'll be damned if this motherfucker isn't still capable of cutting a real fucking promo.
Yeah. Goddamn.
I was like, fucking hell, Moxley still got it. Moxley really is still one of the best, maybe the best promo in their company. It's unbelievable that nobody has reached his level yet, actually. Oh man, and it's also fitting because he's also the world champion. So it's like, well, okay, like I really wish that they weren't actively promoting a white supremacist faction and that he wasn't the head of it. But from a pure actual talent standpoint, he's kind of got that CM Punk juice where it's like, I don't want to root for you, but you're really fucking good at what you're doing. So I can't, what am I gonna say?
Yeah, like, you already know when John Moxley had his last, like, babyface world title run, I used to liken him to Harley Race, 'cause I used to
Yeah,
love his promo style, like, how straightforward and serious he was, and how he put the belt over without being a fucking mark. So,
yeah, dude,
yeah.
that's him in AEW too.
Yeah, and, like, that's why, like, I've always gotta be careful with my criticism because at the end of the day, I do like John Moxley on the whole as a performer. I just hate the current gimmick they have him with because fucking yikes. But, please continue.
So then the second match we got was Hologram versus Dralistico, and these guys went fucking crazy. This was fun. This was good ass lucha shit. Really, really good match. And I believe Dralistico won with his feet on the ropes.
Okay.
Yeah, so Dralistico is a member of LFI, La Facción Ingobernable, which is a heel
Oh, that's
faction.
still a thing, okay.
Yeah, and they've been feuding with Hologram apparently. Very, very like kind of on and off, where it's just like it's a feud, but it's a feud that Tony forgets about a lot, so it's not always on TV. So Hologram is, kind of in the mud here, but Dralistico does get the win, and then Beast Mortos comes out to beat down Hologram. And I'm trying to remember who came out for the save. Who saved Hologram here? Um, shit. AW Beast Mortos Hologram. Let me see if I can get a result here. Tools, 24 hours. Who's gonna save me now?
I don't know.
Someone came out to save Hologram. I just don't remember who it was.
They probably weren't important. I would just continue so you don't get too bogged down in it.
It was Commander. It was
Okay,
Commander.
okay. I'm happy for you that we can resolve that.
Yeah, yeah. So yeah, Commander comes out, makes the save, whatever. Um, Beast Mortos is fucking fantastic. Um, do you know who he was before AEW?
No.
Black Taurus.
Oh, cool, okay,
Yeah,
okay.
dude, he's awesome. I really like him a lot. He is a hoss. I have a soft spot for hoss luchadors because Mil Muertes was always my favorite in Lucha Underground. So yeah, give me a hoss luchador any day of the week, and that is what Beast Mortos is. That dude's awesome. That dude's like scratches all the itches I need. Um, so then we move on. Um, we get there was actually one highlight in the hologram Dralistico match I wanted to just give a little credit to. Dralistico. Oh, you know what? Actually, I fucked up. Dralistico didn't win the match. He did lose. Hologram did beat him. Um, Dralistico went for the pin with his feet on the ropes, and the ref caught him. That's what I was remembering. But Hologram did beat him, and that's why Beast Mortos came out for the beatdown because Hologram fucking won, and Beast Mortos was pissed and came out, and the whole thing. But the thing that I loved though was that while Hologram was pinning Dralistico, and this was the winning pinfall, the ref did 1, 2, and then Dralistico punched air like he was trying to kick out, but he didn't do it emphatically enough to actually get his shoulder off the mat. It was fucking hilarious, and I loved it. Yeah, it was like selling that like he was legitimately out. Like it was great. He was so good. It was like the first time I've ever seen a failed kick out like that. It was so good.
Yeah.
Cause yeah, Hologram's finisher is an airplane spin power bomb. It was great.
Wow. Okay. That is pretty cool. All right.
Yeah, it was really cool. But anyway, so then we got the Outrunners, which is the tag team that's going to be challenging Hurt Syndicate at Revolution tomorrow for the tag titles
Yeah.
versus Premier Athletes. Do you know who Premier Athletes are?
No.
Tony Nese and Ari Davari.
That sounds like a fucking joke.
Yeah. I literally said on Blue Sky, this is a match that feels like it should have been on Rampage when that show was still around, which also means that it feels like it should have been on Dark or Dark Elevation when those shows were still running. It feels like a Bush League match to me. And it went on for way too long. Like the Outrunners are number one contenders for the tag titles. They shouldn't be going toe to toe and getting challenged like this by a team like the Premier Athletes, who are just a couple of fucking dweebs cosplaying tough guys. Uh, and then I also said, because of this match, or at least partially informed by this match, I hope Hurt Business, and I fucked up because I said Hurt Business. I should have said Hurt Syndicate. Beat Outrunners at the pay per view tomorrow in under 2 minutes. Full on squash. Send a message to the tag division that they aren't fucking playing. No hope spots. No opportunities for the Outrunners to get their shit in. Just a complete one sided obliteration. Devastate the crowd because the crowd loves the Outrunners, but fuck them. Devastate their asses. Destroy them.
Yeah, I actually saw that Blue Sky post of yours and I retweeted because I agree. Like, I have to say that I'm not even casual. I don't like the AEW product. They've lost all goodwill with me. I don't even have the motivation to get back into it. However, one of the few things of AEW that I do watch occasionally is Hey EW with RJ City, and I
Yeah,
saw his interview with Hurt Syndicate. Excuse me. I saw his interview with Hurt Syndicate, and this group is so fucking cool, man. They're cool, they're funny, they're legit. Like, yeah, they should squash most of the teams they come up against, to be quite honest.
yeah.
So I completely agree with
Dude,
the sentiment, and that's not
there
even
is
really having
one
context.
team that I can imagine, and then this is like a credibility conversation that I'm trying to have here. There's one team that I can imagine beating the Hurt Syndicate, and it's a team that loses too fucking often, and that's the Murder Machines.
And who's in that group or
Lance
team?
Archer and Brian Cage.
Okay, yeah, yeah, yeah.
And speaking
Fuck
of the
yeah.
Murder Machines, we got a vignette, or not a vignette, but like a talking like pre-tape from 7 or 8 people all together working together at the same time. So Johnny TV, John Morrison, Johnny Mundo, Johnny
Yes,
TV,
yes.
Taya, Collection, which is Mansoor or Mansoor, and Madden, Dio Madden. I don't remember what his name is now. Mason Madden. That's what it is now. Um, do you remember Mark Davis?
Yes. Yeah, because he's part of Aussie Open, formerly with
Yes.
Kyle Fletcher.
Yes. Mark Davis and the Murder Machines. So, what is that? Is that 7? That's 7 people, right?
I believe so.
So, all 7 of them were together, working together on the same page, apparently. I'm sorry, but this is a group that should be the hottest act in the company. These 7 are all fucking great.
Yeah. I
Like,
mean, you
Mark
definitely got
Davis
me
is the
thinking that,
least
yeah.
interesting person here, and that dude's a hoss in the ring that can go. I love him in the ring.
Yeah. Yeah, I read about that group again from your Blue Sky post. 'Cause I switched over to my wrestling one just to see what you were posting when you were talking about AEW, so I can kind of keep up. And yeah, that is a stacked fucking group, bro.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
definitely don't blame you there.
Yeah, and then our main event was Lee Moriarty challenging Daniel Garcia for, I believe it was the TNT title. And I love Lee Moriarty, but like it's hard to be invested in a match where you know that the guy you like is going to lose to the guy that you know you don't like, and that's what happened here.
Yeah, can't really say that I blame you there. Yeah,
Because like Lee Moriarty was fantastic here, but like of course he was always going to lose this, and of course he was never going to be allowed to look better than Daniel Garcia because Daniel Garcia is the pet project, and Lee Moriarty is just a way more talented guy than him that Tony Khan doesn't give a fuck about.
yeah. Oh God, yeah. I know how much you like Lee Moriarty, and the last time I saw him, I thought he was really good too. It's just a shame that AEW doesn't see that.
Yeah. So that was all of Collision. That's it. Collision done. Over.
All right, so now let's talk about the fun stuff. Let's talk about Evolve because I know
Evolve.
you were really
Oh, dude, Evolve was so good. So here's the thing, Evolve wasn't even an hour long. It was like 40, 45 minutes, maybe 50 tops. It was a nice, shorter show, and it felt even shorter than it really was because of how quality it was and how easy to watch it was. So we started the show with HBK, and this also just shows you how much better the show was than anything AEW did this week, because I don't fucking need to read my own Blue Sky posts in order to tell you what happened on Evolve. I remember it, and it was 4 days, 3 days ago, as opposed to Collision, which is literally something that happened like 4 hours ago. Like,
yeah.
it opened with Sean, HBK, and Ava talking to the roster and basically saying, like, explaining the concept of the show to them, talking about how this is where we go to evolve. You know, you're the next generation of pro wrestling, that kind of stuff. And Sean said that he was booking this first show and that Ava was going to take over going forward. But that Sean just wanted to get his hands dirty for this first show because of how special it was to him. And he explicitly said that the WWE ID program was really going to be heavily featured in the main event. And he picked out the 6 guys that he wanted to go into the main event. And it was a 6-man tag match, 3-on-3. And then he identified the 4 women that he wanted to be the opener. And then we got into the opener, and it was Kendall Gray and Carly Bright versus Callie Armstrong, which is someone that we have not seen yet in NXT, but she's fantastic, and Danny Palmer, who is a weirdo fucking conspiracy theorist, probably alt right nut job, but also insanely talented, like freak athlete, like on a level of like Sol Ruka freaky.
Yeah.
And the match was great. The match was fantastic. Kendall Gray is a goddamn star. Kendall Gray is incredible. She is going to make a Fave 5 for me at some point, probably sooner than later.
Yeah. Yeah, definitely. The way you talk about her, I'm not surprised by that at all.
I mean, dude, she's a former amateur wrestler. She's got that background, and she's
Yeah.
already showing it off like she's so good.
Yes. Yes, for sure.
She ended up actually winning the match for her team, pinning Danny Palmer, which I was happy about. Um,
Yeah. Very nice. Very nice.
but yeah, Carly Bright, like, I think it's really unfortunate because I know for a fact that I think Danny Palmer just as a person is shitty. But Carly Bright, far and away, was the worst talent in this match. Carly Bright did absolutely nothing in this match. They're kind of giving her a gimmick of like toxic positivity, kind of, which could
Yeah.
be interesting because like she's like cheering everyone on, even her opponents. Like someone did like a move to her, and she was like, "Wow, that was really cool." Which would be cool if she was like a veteran giving credit to a rookie, but like she's just as much of a rookie as everyone else, if not even more of a rookie.
Right.
So it just comes off as like annoying because they're not even doing it in like a Bo Dallas, like, you know, tongue in cheek heel kind of way. Like they very clearly want her to be a babyface.
I
Um,
yeah.
it's just bad. And from a talent perspective, I'm not really impressed by her either. All 3 of the other women in this match, though, blew me away at one point or another. I think Callie Armstrong is really something special in the ring as well. She's also got those like freak athlete genes going on. She's great. But dude, Danny Palmer, very problematic. Like she was posting about like cloud seeding during hurricane season. She's that type of person.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
I'm telling you, like she's a fucking weirdo. But like Jesus Christ, she is an absolute freak athlete. Like it is unbelievable some of the shit she was doing in here. Like
Yeah.
she was doing like ricochet type shit, like handstand counters to DDTs type shit.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like she's insane athletically. Uh,
Definitely.
but like I'm never gonna root for her because she's shitty as a person.
Right. Right.
And then the real star is it's Kendall Gray, and she didn't need to do flips because she was in there just grappling and wrestling her ass off, and she's outstanding at it.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah, very, very interesting. I have to check it out because I know you really like Kendall Gray, and I want to check her out. And then Carly
Oh,
Bright, I
then
know we've
after
seen
the
her.
match too, after the match was over, Kendall and Carly got interviewed, and Carly was like, "Oh yeah, I'm so excited to be here. This is so nice." And then Kendall got on the mic and she's like, "Nah, I'm here because when people watch Evolve, I want them to remember the name Kendall Gray. When they think of this show and they think about how good the quality of wrestling is on this show, I want them to think of my name." Like she cut a fiery ass promo. It was great.
Yeah, dude, that's fucking awesome, honestly.
Yeah,
Like that gets me excited for her
yeah,
because I know we've seen Carly Bright on NXT, and I've never really cared for her.
yeah,
So it doesn't really surprise me that she's not really translating well. And then, yeah, I'll just have to check it out for sure. You've
yeah.
definitely put me in
Kendall's
the mood to
promo
want
was
to check it out.
very no nonsense, very like I'm here for me. I'm here to make a name for myself. Like very almost like the challenge. Like I'm not here to make friends vibes. You know what I mean?
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah.
I loved it though. It was awesome. But then we got a vignette for Keanu Carver, and then his match was next, and it was against Trill London, which is another. It's funny because it's like Trill London was a name that a lot of people thought Ricky Starks was going to end up saddled with, but it turns out Trill is legitimately a name that the guy goes by, like Trill Williams, from Syracuse. He went to Syracuse, University of Syracuse, as a defensive back. Like he was like an NFL player. He played for the fucking Dolphins. Um,
Right.
and Trill London is just his NXT-ified name so that they can copyright it. And he excites me, but he got fucking destroyed here by Keanu Carver. Like any excitement I had got extinguished real quick because he didn't get a chance to do anything. Keanu Carver destroyed him. And I won't go as far as to say it was as impressive as like a Keith Lee pounce, but Keanu hit probably the best pounce since Keith Lee in this match.
Yeah. Yeah. That doesn't surprise me either. Yeah. Okay.
Yeah. And then we got to our main event, and there were like not really vignettes, but like promo pre-tapes for both of the three-man teams going into this match. And the heel team were like, I was very like, oh god, like ugh, gross, scuzzball, sleazeball type guys. They're like very like college like fraternity bro, frat boy, like the kind of guy you wouldn't want to leave your drink uncovered around guys.
Yeah.
Um, but the one they got in the ring, they were fucking great. They all three of them were great. I don't remember their exact names, all three of them. I know one of them was Bradley, one of them was Jackson, and I don't remember the third one already because these are all new talents to me. I've never
Right.
heard of any of these three heels, but they were all really good. They call themselves Swipe Left or Right. I don't remember. I genuinely don't
Right.
remember which one it was. It was, I'm sure someone in the comments will correct me or really just give me an answer. I think it was Swipe Right, but I could just be talking on my ass again. But they literally were talking in their promo about how they were gonna get with your sister and your mom. Like it's so
Damn.
fucking yeah, they're so total sleazeballs. But it works for a show like this because they come off like local heels. Like they're gonna like the way that you talk about how like at the one show you were at, you said you suck, and the guy said that you swallow. Like that's the type of
Yeah.
heels that these guys give the vibes of for sure.
Well, that's fucking awesome. We need more heels like that. You
Yeah,
know.
yeah, and it is Super Blue in the chat even corrected. He said it is Swipe Right. So I'm glad that my initial instinct was right there. But then the baby faces here. It was Cappuccino Jones, who I think you and I were already kind of excited for, just
Yeah, I
based on
remember
promo.
seeing some like promo work from that guy,
Yep,
like vignette style, and I
yep.
thought he was very interesting.
And I will say, just to get out ahead of it, I think he was probably the least impressive in ring guy in this match. But it doesn't mean that he was bad. He still had his moments, but like the stuff that he did that was supposed to be like, whoa, that was incredible, was literally just shit that you would see if you would watch like a Joshi match.
Right.
It was more like I think he's going to be one of those like character personality guys over like a guy that's going to really wow you in the ring. And then the other guy that I was already familiar with going into this was Jack Cartwheel, who I think is like a guy that you could slap on Raw or SmackDown right now and he would get over in an instant. Like he's very unique offensively to the point that like he would do shit that would wow crowds on Raw or SmackDown right now and get him over very quickly, I think.
Yes. Yes.
And then the third guy who was on the babyface team is a guy named Superstar Sean Legacy. So he is another guy that I'd never heard of before, but he made enough of an impact on me that I remember his name, obviously. He is very like Buddy Matthews adjacent. He's like this shredded ginger guy who moves really fucking well and just looks like a stud. Like think Austin Theory if he didn't have the personality of a drywall.
Oh God. All right. Yeah.
Yeah. He was, I think, the one that ended up getting the winning pin. Actually, was this Shawn Legacy guy. I really liked him. He was really impressive. So I think I really just want your opinion on these guys when you ended up watching this episode. The cool thing is it's on Tubi, which means that there are ads, but there's only like 2 or 3 ad breaks in the entire show, and they're like 2 or 3 minutes long. So you get like 45 to 50 minutes worth of content with like maybe 9 minutes of ads at most throughout the whole thing. It's really easy to sit through.
Right. Let me just check if on the new Watch Wrestling site if it has Evolve on here. I don't think it does,
Bro,
unfortunately.
Tubi is free.
That is true, but when you say ads, I just know that Watch Wrestling sites don't have any ads, so I'll just suffer through the 2 ads. But I was just curious if the Watch Wrestling site I use has it. I don't think it has it, but I will have to check it out for sure.
But yeah, dude,
Yeah,
this match felt like a PWG match to me. This match went
nice,
crazy.
nice,
Yeah.
nice.
It's wild that a WWE property is giving me heavier PWG vibes than AEW in 2025.
That's pretty fucking nuts. Yeah,
Yeah, it really does. It really genuinely does feel like a PWG style show to me. Um Obviously they're not going to do crazy shit like PWG used to do. Like we're not going to get thumbtack spiked super kicks or anything like that. But
right,
like
right,
when PWG used to have their matches where they would just have a tag team match and just let everyone do everything and go fucking crazy, that's what this match was. It was
right.
great. It like I don't think I'm going to go as far as to say like match of the year because there was like no real cohesion to this match, but just from like a beginning to end entertainment factor, it was amazing.
Yeah. So yeah, I guess that's it for Evolve from you then.
Yeah, I would definitely recommend it to anyone that is in the into like PWG style or like RO old school ROH style, really fun, like over the top, like pedal to the metal, just nonstop. Maybe even like mid to late 2000s X Division style matches. You would fucking love this main event, and really the whole show was great because like the women's match to open the show was awesome. Then you got a squash match that made Keanu Carver look like a beast, and he is awesome. Keanu Carver is I call him Baby Oba, and I think that Alex Foster was in the chat and he said that he reminded him of Big E, but like he's bigger than Big E, not thicker but taller. I think Big E's like 5'10", and Keanu Carver I saw listed at 6'2" or 6'3", so he's kind of in between Big E and Oba.
Okay. Yeah.
And then yeah, that main event was like PWG, like X Division style fun shit.
Yeah. No, I'm definitely picking up what you're laying down, man. That's really, really fucking cool. I
Yeah,
have to check this show out for sure because I want to keep my finger on the pulse.
yeah,
And plus, I like being more conversational with you when you're talking about these talents that are very clearly like on the come up. So I'll be sure to check it out.
yeah. I mean, I've
Um,
told you, and I told the people in the Discord that that episode of Evolve really gave me like 2014 to like 2017 ish NXT vibes.
yeah, yeah. And I mean, if that's the kind of vibes it gives you, I'm fucking there
Yeah,
because I mean that era was just really, really strong.
I'm actually
Uh,
really excited that it started this early in the year because if the quality doesn't drop significantly by the end of the year, the rate that we're going at right now, unless Raw manages to maintain the insane quality that it's had for the first couple months of the year, Evolve might be my brand of the year.
Okay. Okay. Well, we'll have to keep that in mind. Yeah. Again, I definitely have to watch this. So we're gonna go now to questions. Super Blue already asked 2 questions preemptively. Guys, I do want to ask two. Try and keep your questions until we get to that segment, just because I like to keep them together, but I also don't want to like tell chat, don't say anything, like so. I think when I say we're in that segment, then you can ask your questions. When you get ahead, it's like it's just a lot for me to keep up with. But thankfully, I know that Super Blue did ask 2 questions earlier. He wanted kind of a partial preview predictions for Revolution. He said you don't have
Sure.
to do the whole card.
Yeah.
So
So, okay. Um, do you think that Gravity, which is Bandito's little brother, is going to beat Chris Jericho for the ROH World Title?
no,
No,
no.
I don't think so either. Osprey Fletcher.
I'm gonna say
Oh, that's
Fletcher
a
for that
steel
one.
cage match, actually.
I'm gonna say Fletcher for that one.
I think I'm going to lean Osprey. I think Osprey's going to win that and become number one contender. Do you think Brody King beats Okada for the Continental Championship?
No.
I'm going to lean yes, actually. Okada struggles with big men. MJF versus Hangman is happening, and it's a singles match, but that's like a blood feud, so I don't know.
I'm hoping Hangman, but who even fucking knows?
I'm going to pick MJF. Tag titles, Hurt Syndicate, Outrunners. Hurt Syndicate better fucking retain, and I hope
I'm
they
just
do
gonna
it
say Hurt
dominantly.
Syndicate.
Yeah, like 2 minutes at most. I think you and I are both going to agree that Momo's not beating Mercedes for the TBS title.
No.
Swerve Ricochet, number one contendership.
Um, I'm gonna say Ricochet, honestly.
Yeah, it's gross, but also, yeah, probably going to happen. Timeless Tony Storm defending the AEW Women's World Championship in a Falls Count Anywhere match against Mariah May.
I just hope Mariah gets the title back.
Bro, Tony literally just won it in Australia. I don't think Mariah's getting it back here. I think Tony's going to retain, and this story is probably in its conclusion at this point.
Fair enough. I'll go to it, just kicking and screaming and crying the whole way.
Yeah.
Because fuck that.
Takeshita defending the international title against Omega. I think Omega wins, actually.
I'm gonna say Omega. I love Takeshita, but they're gonna give it to Omega, I think.
Moxley Cope for the world title.
Moxley.
Yeah, he's going to keep it till Darby shows up.
Is that it?
Yep.
Sweet. Okay,
Kept it
then
painless,
Super Blue.
baby.
Do you think Super Blue asked another question? Do you think Death Riders will end given that Moxley is alone now? Everyone got a, I guess he meant Concerto, and Wheeler walked out after Copeland showed him respect after beating him in a match. I think it's a fake out. AEW does fucking ass fucking water writing all the time. So yeah, I think it's a fake out or something. I don't think it's gonna be that simple. I think they'll come together at the last minute to screw Cope and Moxley retains. Do you think the group is done? Do you think they're like, oh, maybe this isn't a good look for us, or do you think it's a fake out or something?
They're gonna double down. It's not going anywhere.
Yeah, we know you, AEW. Fuck you. Um, Caster Sales. Do you think there's a chance of the New Day helping Cena against Cody at Mania? No, I don't see how any of that connects, so I'm just gonna say no. Um, Abel asked, "Have you acknowledged your tribal chief today?" No, I have not acknowledged Jacob Fatu today. Jacob Fatu, you're my tribal chief. You the one. All right. Javaris, I'm going to treat this as a question because even though it seems more like he's giving his thoughts, he said, is it me or has Rhea just not been right mentally since Priest left for SmackDown and she doesn't have Jay to be her rock since he's occupied by going through the world titles? I mean, yeah, I mean, she even said, bro, in the interview, I think she pretty much spelled it out like she's isolated because I mean, Jackie even mentioned she didn't mention Jay, so I guess WWE
Who?
is no longer treating that as a thing, but she did mention Priest being gone. So, like, yeah,
Who's
they're
this now?
definitely Rhea.
Who
Javar is asking,
mentioned
is
this
it just me
stuff?
or is Rhea not been right mentally? But like, yeah, they made it
Oh,
explicit that she's not right mentally. So yeah, I agree because I think the product agrees. Um, Caster Sales. If Cody beats Cena at Mania, do you think it would be believable that anyone else beats him afterwards? Well, I'm hoping he doesn't beat Cena at Mania, but I guess to answer your question, it's all in the build, really. You know, if they would build a Braun Breaker up to be like taking everybody out, I could believe him beating Cody.
I mean,
Anybody can be believable if the story's there to me.
here's the
So
thing. Cena has been losing a lot. Like,
yeah,
I think 2025 Cena is very beatable. I don't think that Cody beating him makes him look unbeatable by any means. Like, Cody could beat Cena and then lose to Roman, or beat Cena and then lose to Jacob, or beat Cena and then lose to Solo, or I mean, there's probably a pretty long list. Orton, for fuck's sakes, or Kevin. Like, there's a long list of guys that he could beat Cena and then lose to, and it would be perfectly believable because it's 2025. John Cena literally hasn't won a match since, like, what is it, 2018 at this point,
yeah.
other than Elimination Chamber that he just won, which he only won because of Seth Rollins' help.
And the only reason I put more emphasis on it though is that this will be like the first match Cena has had like as a heel explicitly. So like I always talk about you do the turns when you can't get the thing done that you really want to get done. And so I just feel like, Cena should win. Plus Cody will have had that title for like a year, I think, at that point. So, obviously there's my fuck you Cody bias for sure, but we're not just talking about anybody. We're talking about a John Cena that actually willingly turned fucking heel. Like I think that's pretty monumental. And so, yeah, I just hope he wins. But I mean, Cody could retain. And again, like I said, that's why I didn't even say no. I just said, like, anybody can beat anybody. Like, if the story is there, you can give a story to anybody. And I could be like, maybe they'll be the one to beat Cody. So just like it was Cody's story, God, I hate that fucking word now with how he wrote it into the ground to really beat Roman with how they built that up. So we'll see. Um, Super Blue, do you think Jacob will get a US title match versus LA Knight at WrestleMania? I could see it. I mean, LA Knight explicitly said that Jacob Fatu being taken out by Strowman gave him the clear path. And I mean, as a babyface, LA Knight was right because he was able to beat Shinsuke as much as I fucking hate it. So yeah, I could see Jacob challenging LA Knight for the title at Mania. What do you think, bro? Do you think they do that? I know one random card saw fucking Jacob facing Solo. Do you have any thoughts on that?
Has there been any hints that Jacob or anyone in the bloodline might want to go after the U.S. title of all things?
I think, well, not really like going after as like a hint, right? But they've just seemed to have been involved in the picture because I think the last time LA Knight was in the ring with Shinsuke, the Bloodline ran the ring to like put the boots to LA. And then LA Knight again did make mention of Jacob being taken out by Strowman on this past SmackDown.
Right.
So now nobody can get in his way of beating Shinsuke. And then LA Knight beat
Yeah.
Shinsuke. So,
I mean, I'm not going to write it off as a possibility. It could definitely happen. We'll see.
Javaris, what are your thoughts about Cena possibly finally going bald? I think it's great. Good for him for finally
He's
embracing it.
growing a goatee, y'all.
Yeah, he's gonna pull a Heisenberg for fuck's sake. Um, but yeah, I mean, good for Cena. That bald spot was disturbing, and I hated looking at it. So it's definitely winning favor with
You'd
me for
rather
him just
look at a
embracing
cue
bald.
ball than a man with a receding hairline or a bald spot?
Absolutely, absolutely. Don't
Wow.
do all of one thing with most of your head and then part of another. Fuck you. Either homogenize that shit or don't. I don't know. So at least he's committing to
Oh,
the
wow.
baldness.
I didn't know
I
you were
appreciate.
this much of a fan of homogeneity, or at least this much of an anti of heterogeneity.
Well, when it comes to scalp, I get a bit more tender and sensitive on the subject. Um, Also, should Cena's first promo just be him saying "fuck them kids"? I mean, obviously not as explicitly divorced as I'm sure you know, but maybe he will make a reference to how he hated doing every make a will, which that would shatter those fucking kids. I mean, Jesus
Are they
Christ.
still here to hear it?
I'm sure some of them are. I wouldn't be surprised if some of them were.
Yeah, I'm
Um,
sure some of them are, but
he's like
isn't
he
the
hated.
whole point of Make a Wish to like
Yeah,
it's like terminal kids?
yeah. I feel like that's usually the point. Yeah.
Yeah.
Um, So we'll see, but I mean, yeah, he could give a lot of kids a complex. Like, I wanted to support John Cena and he hated me. He's no different from my parents. And it's like, oh God,
Oh,
shit.
Jesus Christ.
Oh man, I got a lot of darkness in here. Holy fuck.
Uh,
But yeah, should be a very interesting first promo, and just him being side by side with Dwayne and all that baldness. It's gonna be
Dwayne.
very interesting. So, Super Blue, which will also be bigger burial. Well, already the use of burial makes me sus, but we'll play with the question. Which will also be a bigger burial if it happens. Jay losing at Mania
Neither.
41 or Cena losing at Mania 41.
Neither.
I think Jay. I think neither really. But if you had to make me pick, I would say Jay only because he seems to have so much fucking crowd momentum right now. And I think a lot of people believe like this is the time that he beats fucking Gunther for Gunther just to be like LOL 9 and then just beats him again. Like, fuck. Oh, man. So, yeah, I would say Jay, but I don't think it's a burial either way. Again, WWE's writing ability as of late, it's almost gotten me not to really believe in burials more or less anymore because I feel like, they're more about the journey now than the matches. And I'm really appreciating this era for that fact. Just so long as
If anyone's been buried anytime recently, it's literally Carmelo Hayes.
yeah, fucking dweeb ass. But then again, you were a fake friend ass, so it's just karma doing its job, I guess. Maybe don't
Karma,
betray someone.
Karma, lo.
You know what? Partial pop, but more importantly, big self pop. So way to go, bud. Um, Caster Sales. Do you think it would be difficult? I was just reading to make sure I got the name right. That's why it took me a minute. Do you think it would be difficult to book Keanu Carver and Obafemi when they end up in the same brand? I don't know how to answer that. I have no idea who Keanu Carver is. Do you have context for this, bro?
He's saying Keanu Carver, like the guy that got booked like a monster on Evolve. Keanu Carver,
Okay. I mean, sure, I
Baby
guess.
Oba, literally the guy that I call Baby Oba. That's like halfway between Biggie and Oba.
Yeah. I really don't have much, like beyond what you said. Like, I don't really don't have much context because I didn't see the show for myself. I mean, I guess not. It's not difficult for WWE to do anything if they want to do something.
I
It's a
don't think it
question
would
of
be difficult though, because like Keanu Carver is like scary big man that tears people apart, sure, but like Oba got the aura. Like there's a huge difference between them. Like Oba is like 10 out of 10 everything you want. Keanu Carver is like not that. I don't know how else to put it.
yeah.
If you just look at them surface level, it's like okay, yeah, you guys are both big scary black guys who can tear people apart, sure. But then like if you just dig a little bit deeper, Oba is brings so much more substance to the table in my mind than Keanu. And like I like Keanu for sure, but like it's Oba Femi. Come on now.
Um, Super Bowl, I'm just gonna say no right out of the gate because he said, "Do you think Cena could stay around until Mania 42 if you get the most out of this heel run?" No,
Dude,
no. I think Cena's always a man of his word. Like this is the year he's retiring, and we've just got to accept that. So, no. I think I'm just gonna close up shop here, guys, because it's almost 1
that's a
a.m. I'm gonna be
great
honest. I just
idea.
really want to like wrap this up because we've been
Yeah.
going for over 2 hours. So, yeah, just gonna close shop there, and we're gonna get to high spots, low shots. My low shot is unfortunately Naomi. She bet on
Yeah.
friendship and she got abandoned. Um,
Oh wow, the way you phrased that.
and you know what? I just want to tell Naomi, it's not your fault. I wish you would have pushed her harder too. About as hard as the company's definitely planning on pushing her for sure. And I'm sorry that Bianca just really was kind of the Carmelo Hayes of the women's division and a fake friend house. I really
Wow.
you deserve
Wow.
better. You
Wow.
deserve better. So
Wow.
who's your low shot?
Actually unbelievable. Wow.
Your low shot, bud.
Oh God. After that, Jesus Christ, I feel like I could pick anyone and it would be more genuine and sincere than that. God damn. Let's see. Low shot. I am gonna say Shinsuke Nakamura for losing the U.S. title to Ass Stick.
That stick's never coming out.
I popped my mom.
God. From Master Splinter to a guy who can't master his splinters, but apparently he did to win the US title, so I don't fucking know. Um, high spot. High spot. Um, I mean, there are some easy ones that I could just go for, but I don't really want to do that.
You
You
know
know
what?
what?
While you're thinking about that, I'm gonna add in some honorable low shots. Actually, no, you know
Go
what?
ahead.
Not several, just one honorable low shot. Tony D for losing the North American title to fucking mid ass Spears.
Yeah, that was rough. You know what? In an act of goodwill, just to show what a good mood the Raw put me in, I'm gonna give my high spot to CM Punk. Had a great fucking promo and a great brawling segment with Seth Rollins, and that's the most I've given a shit about him since he's come back to the WWE. That was impressive because I feel like when you've been there that long and like all the stuff that Punk had going against him, usually when I've made a decision on somebody or something, I am very stubborn. Like I'm aware of this. Just look at my relationship with AEW for proof positive of that fact. And Punk has gotten me to finally care about him a little bit. That's a win. He's definitely my high spot.
High spot Io Sky, easy peasy, lemon squeezy.
That's why I didn't want to take the low for it. I'm like, Io is your girl, man. It's only fitting that you get her for the high spot. Um, all right, that's it. That's in review. Thank you guys so much for doing it. And you know what, Sir Blue, because I am in a good mood, we will answer just this last question from you. He said, which title do you think Parker should go after for who wins the women's title match? I think women's North American. This way you can end the double title reign quickly because I think Jada would actually do really good things with that title. And then, yeah, presumably Stephanie, because Julie, unfortunately, it's being reported is injured, could really just focus on having a solid NXT Women's Championship reign. So I say Women's North American. Do you have anything you want to add to that, bro, before I take us home?
Nope.
Excellent. All right, guys, that was in review. Thank you so much for joining us. Leave a like, share loud, subscribe, click the bell notification so you miss any of that troll goodness. Check out everything we're involved in the description box. Follow us on Blue Sky and Twitch because we are the best wrestling podcast in all the AWC. And I definitely know we're gonna have Stardom this week because Stardom should get their Path of Thunder pay-per-view up. And we have a little bit of a backlog. I know we have a New Blood show and like a few things on Stardom World.
What was the date
Um,
of that Path of Thunder show?
that was the December 20. No, no, no. Excuse me. I'm sorry. That was the February 24th. Should have been show February 24th.
February 24th.
And apparently it's up now. So like, yeah, we're
Oh.
definitely doing Stardom this week
Oh shit.
because they
Okay.
have that. They have New Blood. They have the March 2nd show and the Cinderella tournament
Shit.
beginning from March 9th. So cool.
Fuck. I wish we would have known about that ahead of time. I wanted to. Damn, that blows.
You wanted to what?
I was just hope I because we really wanted to do Marty Gold on Tuesday,
Right, right.
so it would have been nice to be able to do that before Tuesday.
Okay, so then I guess are we gonna do any Stardom Tuesday then for now? Like now that this is all up?
Maybe we do after NXT because you've been really talking about how open you are to doing that kind of stuff a lot lately. Maybe we do that.
That's fine with me. We'll do it after NXT. Plus, dude, I'm not getting intimidated by Stardom anymore because even when they have a lot of shows up, it doesn't mean we're doing a shit ton of matches because we could go through a whole card and be like, this is ass and not do anything. So
Yeah.
we will go card by card. We can even do it before we break off tonight just to know for sure what we're doing on Tuesday and get that set up, especially if I need to find timestamps, which I think I'm only going to need to do for one show, and that'll be the start of the Cinderella tournament, which go Hanan 2-peat, I guess. So yeah, Tuesday after NXT. So I guess 10, even if you want to say 10:30, I'm fine with that too, just to give us some leg room. Fine with me.
Bro, can
Let me
you
think.
imagine how much shit WWE would get if they had two unique Royal Rumble winners over the course of 4 fucking years?
Yeah, I think they'd get a lot actually. So yeah, I could see it. I could see it.
I mean, I'm rooting for
Um,
Hanan too, but like, it's just ridiculous that the best case scenario for the Cinderella tournament this year is that exact situation: two unique winners over 4 years
yeah, that's pretty crazy.
because they
I
did
already
Mirai.
hate that. Yeah.
Yeah, because they did Mirai twice in a row and Hanan won last year, and the best case scenario this year is just Hanan again.
Yeah, I already hate that Cody won 2 Rumbles back to back because he did that, right? Like,
Yeah,
yeah, like, that
2023 and 2024. Yep.
yeah, I hated it. So, yeah, but I mean, I love Hanan. I really just think she should have won the Wonder title the first time, and I love Soriano to death, but it just felt like her time. And if not Hanan, I'm gonna be honest. Let's go, Sayaka Kurara, because the more I think about that, the more I'm intrigued. So, I'm cool with a lot. I'm a very open guy. Or Lady
That is
C. I
very
did say Lady C
interesting.
as well on Discord.
Dude,
So
Lady C is injured, I believe. She's not going to be doing stuff.
what? God. Oh my
She's got
god.
something with her back. Yeah.
I hate everything. Okay. So Stardom Tuesday after NXT. So we're just pushing Motor Gold to Wednesday then?
I guess. Yeah, we can do that.
Are we because here's the thing, bro. We only have like I think 4 Stardom shows if we do Tuesday. Do we want to try and cover as much of these shows as possible, or do we still want to do like some Stardom Thursday?
We're going to want to do both Tuesday and Thursday. We'll spread it out pretty good.
Okay, so then Stardom spread for Tuesday, Thursday, Tuesday after NXT, Thursday usual time at 7. Then it should just be preview excuse me, not preview predictions.
Wait.
Just
No. If we're moving Monty Gold to Wednesday, then there's no reason for us to do it start them after NXT. We can just do it at 5 or 6 on Tuesday.
fair enough. Okay. Okay. I just want to get this
I
straight to
would, to be
promote it
clear, I
correctly to
was under
women.
the impression when you asked me when you wanted to do Stardom on Tuesday that we were going to do still Monty Gold on Tuesday and just then
Cool.
also do Stardom Tuesday night also.
Okay, well then okay, so just to make it clear then, so then I can promote a proper thing for our fans here. When do you want to do Monty Gold? Do you want to just do Monty Gold same day Tuesday? Because I'm fine with that too. I what do you have a preference? I'll just
I
ask you
think
straight.
that it would be the best for us to do both Monty Gold and Stardom on Tuesday, as long as that works for you too.
That's fine. But what time then would you want Monty Gold to take the 6 o'clock spot then?
Yes.
Okay. So okay. Monty Gold 6. NXT in between, which we're doing nothing, just gather in the Discord. It's going to be Roadblock. I'm probably going to be checked out. I really do not care about this show, but we'll
No.
see. Then Stardom after NXT. And I don't know. Do you want to just do right at 10 or do you want to give 10:30 like for an because again, I do not care. So,
Yeah, let's just do it 10.
okay. 10 for NXT. I really hope that I can continue my streak of just being like on my shit because I'm really gonna need to be for that day. So then Wednesday's just wide open then. Wednesday we got nothing. Thursday we're still doing Stardom. So we'll
Yes.
spread
Perfect.
Stardom out still. Cool. And that'll be at 7. then it should just be in review at 10:30 because it's not a pay-per-view
Yeah,
this week or anything because now we're just on the road to Mania, right?
right.
Okay. So one more time, everybody. I'm really sorry. I just always want to get it right because I'm telling this to you guys. Tuesday at 6, Monday Gold, NXT in between. So I'll have a break. And then we come back to recording for partial stardom coverage of whatever shows are up at 10. And then we're going to do the remaining stardom shows to be fully caught up Thursday at 7. And then, yeah, the next recording will just be in review at 10:30 on Saturday. So that's next week. It should be very interesting. We're going to be heavy on the Joshi, which I'm excited about. And we'll see you guys then. Enjoy the rest of your weekend, y'all. Be good to yourselves and each other. Tune in. Peace out.